This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everyone, and very nice to have all of you school children joining us today. A very big welcome. And my name is David. On the camera is another David. And we got another young boy there by the name of James. He decided to join us to see how we are going to look for the elephants for you today. As you can see, I'm enjoying this beautiful weather. It's about 28 degrees centigrade and about 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Please let me know what are the temperatures where you are right now. With me, out today looking for some animals for you, is a gentleman called Ralph and another girl who is walking called Taylor. Next to me there is a termite mound, and we've got so many insects that live in here. But also there are other animals that will live in here, like lizards or sometimes snakes. And for that reason, I have to be careful and walk a little bit away, not to be bitten by a snake. Most important, remember, we'll need to get so many questions from you through your teachers, all right? It's very important. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts? And when I was standing here, I saw an elephant not very far from where I am. So we might be going there now and find out whether I saw an elephant or I saw a big rock that is moving. All right, and let's head out and find out, did I see an elephant or a big rock? And in the meantime, we'll take you to Ralph, and he'll say hello to all of you.
Thank you, David, and hello to all the school groups. Welcome aboard with me, Ralph Kirsten. You're watching Safari Live, and my cameraman here is Ferg. How's it, Ferg? Now, good afternoon, everybody, and don't forget to send us your questions and your comments through your teacher, because we're going to have a wonderful game drive this afternoon. It's nice and warm, and we've been able to find a couple of animals here in the thickets. There's a wildebeest over there. He's just hiding himself a little bit in the shade because it is a little bit warm now in the afternoon, but I'm sure we'll be able to get a little bit closer in a minute. I just want to see if he's going to show himself or not. You see, he's got a nice set of horns on him, if he will show, and there's also an impala walking there behind him too. Now, it looks like he might just be coming out and showing himself a bit better there. I wonder what he's watching. They need to be careful here because there are all sorts of predators around, like lions and leopards and even the odd cheetah. But for now, they seem to be quite happy because mostly the predators move around at night, except for the cheetah, of course. Now, it seems like my good friend, or Rafiki Dave, has found the largest land mammal.
You children, you do not know how lucky you are, and just look, after just introducing myself and Ralph on the camera, you got the largest mammals in the world, and these are the elephants. You can imagine, or you notice how lucky you are just the first 3-5 minutes. You got elephants there saying hello and lots of greetings from Africa. And this is the largest animal in the world. Don't forget about that small baby there. That's a young one. Maybe going to 3 years now by looking at the size of its tusks. But elephants are the largest land mammals. I'm sure you know we've got other mammals that are larger than elephants that will be in water like the whales. But where we are in Africa and anywhere else you go on land, this will be the largest mammal or the largest animal you'll ever see. Some of them, like the big males, will weigh 5,000 kilos. Joy, thank you very much for giving me the temperatures back home, and that feels a little bit cooler than here. Thank you for giving me the answer. I have been waiting. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. So we have that one that's watching at us. It was eating before, and when we got here, she stopped and she's just looking at us. And as she feels comfortable with us, she'll continue grazing again or eating again. What she's doing now, she's throwing a lot of dust to her body, what we would call dust bathing sometimes. And that dust might help her to cool off, or if it's a bit wet and it sticks on her body, it might help to suffocate or kill any parasites that might be on her body. I was talking earlier of how big some of the elephants could be, almost 6,000 kilograms. That's a very huge one, which might translate to about 14,000 pounds. And the females could be about 3,000 kilos or 3,500 kilos, the very largest one, which again would be about 8,000 pounds in weight. Don't you think those animals or these animals sound heavy? Angel, that is a very interesting question. How much can an elephant lift with its weight? One thing I can tell you, Angel, I know it can lift me up. I don't know how heavy or what could be the heaviest weight it could get, but I can tell you, me and you, Angel, these elephants can lift us up. I would want to find out, maybe, not today or maybe next time, we'll let you know what's the heaviest weight an elephant can lift. But I can tell you for a fact, it can lift a small car of, say, even 2 tons. It can lift it upside down. They're very strong, and the trunks are very important to elephants. They use them to grasp food when they go drinking, when they're breaking trees, when they are talking or they are greeting each other. The trunks are very, very important to the elephants. They got so many muscles in them, as long as they're very tall, but got so many muscles in them because they need to use them to do all those things I mentioned earlier. And one of my colleagues, Taylor, is walking around, and let us hear what she has for you.
Well, we haven't gone too far away from camp just yet, and we're still looking for all sorts of cool things on this bushwalk. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me is Craig, and then also we have someone helping us out on this bushwalk. There's Herbert. Now, just as you've been asking Ralph and David questions, you can also ask me some, so I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Now, because we're out on bushwalk, we're not going to try and get as close as the animals as David and Ralph can in the cars. We are going to be looking at the smaller things. So that means because we're much closer to the ground, we can see in the grass, we can see on the sand, we can look for insects and butterflies and caterpillars. If there are a few left, we can even look at animal dung and animal footprints. But it's been a little bit windy today, so some of the footprints have already got sand all blown into them. So we'll see if we can find some more up ahead. John, we do in fact see rhino. That's a great question, but unfortunately you won't be able to see them because on this show here in the Sabi Sand we have a strict protocol that we don't show rhinos, and that's just one of those things, as I'm sure you know, is that rhinos are very endangered because there's some horrible people out there in the world that are killing them to use their horn for a variety of different things. It doesn't actually do any of the things that they say it does. So it's just very sad that those animals are really dying for no reason. So anyway, so we try to protect them as much as we can, and but we get to see them all the time. The area that we're in, the Greater Kruger National Park, has got the largest population of rhinos. So we see lots of white rhinos. Sometimes if you see black rhinos, but remember the white rhinos are the ones that are eating grass, so they're like open areas like this, whereas a black rhino that eats leaves would prefer an area like that side. So in between those trees, that's where they would probably be. They can be quite shy and they don't always like to spend a lot of time out in the open. But if you get to see a black rhino, you've got to count yourself very, very lucky because there are not many of them left out here. We're going to keep looking. I think a lot of the animals are hiding from the wind. Maybe have gone down into some of these drainage lines. So I think we will do the same thing. Off you go to Ralph, who's still with the wildebeest.
Well, yes, we do have a wildebeest here, but we've also got some impala, and it looks like this is the boys' club, because you know that impala, only the males have horns. With wildebeest, both the male and the females have horns, but this one here is a male. He's on his own, and that's one of the ways that you can tell what it is, if it's a boy or a girl, because the girls all like staying together in groups, whereas the boys, or the males, they sometimes stay on their own, looking after their territory. And, well, these impala and this wildebeest are just eating a little bit while the wind is now blowing through the later part of this afternoon. They're just happily feeding through the bush here. Now, Elizabeth, how many species of animals live in Africa? Well, there is over 1,000, because we've got over 350 species of birds. We've got many, many different species of frogs. We've got insects. We've got mammals. We've got fish. We've got all sorts of things. So there are thousands of different species of animals that we have here. But these two species that we're looking at right now are getting quite worried. I wonder if it's because the wind is blowing and they are a little bit edgy because they can't hear properly, or if they're smelling that there's a leopard nearby. I wonder. I'm just going to sit here a little bit longer and see what they're worried about. You see how stiff he is? He's looking like he's a little bit worried that maybe there's a predator nearby. And you see he's very focused in that direction. So while we wait and see if there is a predator about to show himself out of the grass, let's head you back to David with those lovely elephants.
I'm still with my elephants here, enjoying elephants, and I'm sure you kids, if you didn't know, elephants are the most entertaining animals you'd see in Africa, because they'll always be doing something, either eating or drinking, shaking their bodies, looking at you or you looking at them. So what we have now of the small herd of elephants that we got here, this is the largest of them all. And to me, she looks like to be the matriarch, or she is in charge of the rest. A matriarch would mean the leader female. And if you talk of a leader male, it will be a patriarch. So I think the one we see in front of us there is the matriarch, or the mother leader of all what we got here. Now, I'm going to request David to move slowly to the right, and then we are going to see the other Ellis, or the other elephants. There they are. And as you watch that, Austin, you'd like to know if elephants do have predators. Yes, elephants have predators, but mostly the young babies. We have seen once in a while lions trying to prey or trying to hunt young babies. Those are the only predators, I would say, for elephants. Otherwise, they're just too big, Austin, for any animal to bring them down. I would say more lions, but they would go for the babies and not the fully grown elephants. So what you see there, that is like maybe a sister or a cousin of the one I was showing you before. That was the matriarch, and she got her calf very close to her. She doesn't look to be very active at the moment, and it's because it's a bit hot now. 82 degrees Fahrenheit is a bit hot for everybody, even the elephants. Angelina, you'd like to know when elephants form their tusks, and that happens when they're about 2.5 years to 3 years is when, Angelina, the tusks start coming out. Some may come a little bit earlier, but in average, Angelina, 2.5 years is when the tusks start coming out. I hope you can hear that. And that is what we call rumbling in elephants, and they're basically communicating. I may not be able to know what they said, but they communicated and agreed something, and most likely it's the matriarch that, that one there, that's the matriarch there, and most likely she is the one who passed some message to them. And on her left, you can see there's a young calf also next to her. Maybe that could be her baby or her calf. And because it's a bit hot, you see the calf where she is, as much as she's trying to feed, she is very well shaded just to keep cool. And as it gets cooler later in the day, they will start moving slowly, slowly. Kelly, you're asking how long does an elephant trunk grow? I'm looking at the one in front of us now, and if I give it about from the tip to the base of the head, maybe longer trunks, and some will have shorter ones. And also, it depends on the genetics. Some will come from elephants, mothers or fathers having very long trunks. And that will just crossing the road. So that tells you she's not happy of something. And if you look carefully, one of her left ear is torn. So I have lowered my voice a bit. Sometimes when they do that, they're passing a message to you. I can see you, don't get any close. So what you do, you remain silent and you talk softly and you make sure you do not invade their space. And once she gets comfortable with that, you can see now she has started eating. Otherwise, if she wasn't comfortable with us now, she would still have continued shaking her head. And you know what, you'd like to know what elephants use as defense. And tusks that you can see there, the white ones there, which are like their canine teeth, that's what they use as a defense. And you'd imagine being poked by a tusk like that, that's what they use for defense. And also they may use their trunks, which also act like hands to hold or ward off an attacker. But more often than not, they use their tusks for defense. If need be, they may have to run, but before they run, they'll always use their tusk and as much as they can to defend themselves. Raf got a surprise for all of you.
Well, look at this, everybody. I managed to find some cheetah. And these two are quite young cheetah, and you can see they've got very fat bellies because this morning they managed to catch and eat a little kudu, which was a shame for the kudu, but they were looking, the cheetah were looking very hungry, and it looked like they needed to eat something very soon. And luckily their mom is a very good hunter, and she managed to chase and catch and kill the kudu, and they have now got very fat bellies because they've spent the entire morning eating the kudu. So look at that, and look how cute they are, hey? Now, Rachel, cheetah can retract their claws, so they can pull them back, but then they will go out again, and it's almost like natural running spikes. So, you know, like when you put on your togs or whatever sport you might play, if you run in athletics and you put on your grip to help you when you run, that it helps just to get grip as you run along. So cheetah, because they run so fast, they need those little spikes to help them get grip, especially when they want to turn corners at very high speed. And there's two, and Mommy's just lying a little bit... oh, she sat up now. There's Mom, there. So you can see she's a little bit bigger than these two youngsters. But they're all looking very fat, and they've had a very good meal this morning. Now, Noel, thanks for your question. Cheetah are able to run so fast because they've been evolving over many, many hundreds of years for them to be exactly the shape that they are now. It's it's very specialized, and so the body that they have is designed to run extremely fast. It's a little bit like Usain Bolt. If I had to try and run as fast as Usain Bolt, I wouldn't stand a chance, because he's just so perfectly designed for that running. But he also trains very, very hard, and so do the cheetah. They need to train very hard to stay very fast. If they weren't fit, they wouldn't be able to catch the food that they did this morning. And these two youngsters, they're obviously still learning from Mom how to hunt. And if they had to be left on their own now, they would probably die, because they wouldn't know how to catch the food. So Mom is still teaching them. And this morning she was showing them a very good lesson in how to catch kudu. And that's why they're now sitting with fat bellies. And, well, they'll be able to stay for quite a few days without that. Now, speaking of a kudu and what these cheetah ate this morning, let's head you off to Taylor and she'll show you exactly that.
Gotta be quick. You gotta be quick with us on bushwalk, because the animals don't like us and they tend to run away, and that's exactly what they've done, I'm afraid. Oh, that's a pity. Can you still see them, Craig? I can't see them anymore. They're walking away in the distance, as you can see. Oh, they were standing quite close and staring straight at us. We actually got a bit of a fright because we heard some oxpeckers, which are birds, which, well, I don't know how many of them. Must have been about 10 of them. They were on this herd of kudu. They all flew up into the sky, and we stood dead still, because this is an area where you can see lots of buffalo, and you can also see rhinos. And those birds love to sit on those two animals, but apparently they also like to sit on the kudu. So, are they still there, Craig? If you come here, there's one. You can just see her big ears every now and then. If you look straight through, there's a kudu. You see it? She's got the back of her head to us now. There she is. Let's see what she's going to do, where she's going to go. She's probably going to move down and into that drainage line out of sight. What's she doing? She's just watching us. I think because we're not moving too close towards her, she's okay for now. But I'm surprised, because the vegetation is so thick in here and we can barely see her. I thought she'd be a little bit more scared and wanting to run away. Sometimes when you're out in the open and the animals can see you easily, then they're not so bothered, and they'll let you view them. But on foot like this, we look like predators. But there's no hunting or anything that goes on in this area anymore. We just do photographic safaris, and then of course we also do bushwalks. So over time they'll eventually get more and more used to us. Oh, she's running back to... Why are they running out of there? She just changed direction and she came bolting out of the drainage line. I can still hear them running. I'm just watching to see if I can see them. I wonder what's happened. Now, we are actually looking for a leopard in this area, because there was one seen here this morning, a big male leopard by the name of Tingana. I wonder if he's down in there. Craig, you said he went somewhere around here, hey? Because that was very unusual. And kudu have got very, very big ears. And they've also got a very good sense of smell. Herbert. I'm trying to talk to Herbert, because that was unusual that those kudu decided to come and run back past me when they most likely would have run away. But anyways, I'm going to try and get hold of Herbie and catch up to him while you go to David, who's still with the elephants.
Yes, Taylor, don't stay very far from Hubby. You know, Hubby is a pretty good guy when it comes to tracking. And I am still enjoying these ellies, or these elephants here. And how wonderful now to see the matriarch very close to the calf. She moved a bit, as you saw when she crossed the road. And she's enjoying the food where she is. And Jackson, you'd like to know what's the largest elephant I've ever seen. This is way back, and I think it was a male. And you remember when we were talking earlier, I was saying how big the elephants can get. And it was a huge male bull, very huge male bull. It must have died, because that's a long time ago. And it is the size I was trying to give you ideas of how heavy elephants can be. And it must have been about almost 14,000 pounds in weight. But that's like about 8-10 years ago. He was a big bull. But even the female here that you can see, by any standard, she's a big one too. Mark, you'd like to know, do elephants eat vegetables only, and how do they remain this large? It's because elephants belong to a group of animals that we call herbivores, or vegetarians, and they only eat green plants or green matter, be it vegetables, as you say, but in general grass, leaves. It's time to have a little break. I'm sure you can see there, Mark, and it's telling you how much it eats. And you can see the pool looks a bit green in color. That indicates they're only eating green stuff. So a single elephant, is now having a wee break too, may eat even up to 600 pounds of food. A fully grown elephant in a day may eat 600 pounds of food, Mark. You can imagine that amount of food in your body, 600 pounds. So, and that way, it helps to keep the body frame in that size. A lot of food they eat in a day, and they also drink lots of water. Lorna, you're asking, do elephants sleep? Rarely you see elephants sleeping down. If you're trying to imagine they would lay down to sleep. Or where do they sleep? My apologies. They sleep in the bush. They could even sleep where she is now. But they do like what you call cat naps. Stand, close their eyes for 15-20 minutes, and then wake up. That's how elephants sleep. But you'll not see them going to a particular place where they'll go and spend the night. So wherever they are eating or drinking, or wherever fatigue finds them, that's where they sleep. What we were seeing earlier here before, because it was too hot, as you can see there, that elephant you see there, she may choose to have 5-10 minutes of sleep under the shade while she is still standing. So they will not have any particular place where they will sleep. It could be anywhere where they are. Then after some time, they'll move to the next spot and choose to eat or choose to drink, and then maybe have another nap. Let's go back to the man with a surprise, Ralph.
Oh, look at this, everybody. These youngsters, they've eaten so much food, and you see how they're panting now. That's breathing in and out very fast. It's quite like if you have a very big meal and you eat too much, then you really feel tired afterwards. And that's exactly how these little guys are feeling now. But that food that they've eaten, that can last them a very long time. Now, Jackson, they've got those black lines on their face, and we say that those are teardrops. Justin, sorry, I thought it was Jackson. Justin, those black lines there, we call them teardrops, and those help them to absorb the sun because they hunt during the day. So it's very bright, and in Africa, we don't have too much rain here. We don't often have a lot of clouds around. So it's normally very bright. And cheetah hunt during the day, not like lions and leopards that generally hunt at night. They need to see in the dark. Well, the cheetah need to see very well during the day. And those black lines there help to stop the glare. It's almost like wearing sunglasses, but natural sunglasses. So that's why they have those little stripes down the side of their face. And that's also one of the ways that we see that it's actually a cheetah, because they can look quite similar to leopards in lots of ways, but leopards won't have those black stripes coming down the side of their face. So that's one of the beautiful ways to see it's a cheetah. Now, cheetah don't only sleep in trees, and that's how we can see here where they're lying on the ground. They will go up a little bit in trees, and we see that sometimes, but it's mostly leopards that will go up in the tree, and that's quite special about leopards. They often take their food up into the tree, they often sleep up in the trees, and they get their food away from the pesky hyenas and maybe the lions that could maybe come and steal their food. But you see, cheetah, they hunt during the day, so they try and avoid the hyenas and the lions, and they also have to eat very fast, like they've done today, so that the food is finished by the time the vultures and the hyenas and the leopards and the lions realize that there's some meat around. So these cheetah have actually been very clever today. They quickly caught the kudu and they finished it up before anybody else even knew there was something to eat. Very clever, you cheetah, aren't you? And now that food that they've got in their belly, that can last them for a long time. I would say even up to about 2 weeks before they would have to eat again. I'm sure they'll eat before that. But if they didn't get anything, they could stay for a long time. It's quite surprising, hey? Because we can't last that long as humans. And this one looking quite sleepy now. Surely, the little youngsters, when they get to around about a year old, is when they normally leave their mum. But sometimes they can stay a little bit longer, and sometimes a little bit less. So that's in general. So, animals in the bush, they don't always listen to the rules that we tell them to. And it's quite like, when people leave home. Some people leave home when they're 18 years old. Some people leave home when they're 16 years old. And other people leave home maybe when they're 30 years old. And some people never leave home. So, well, with the cheetah, it's also quite similar. They can stay with their mom for quite a long time, but normally it's around about 1 year old. And you see very pretty eyes that he has as well. When he opens them and he's not having a snooze, I wonder what he's dreaming about. What do you think? You tell us. What do you think he's dreaming about? Think he's dreaming about chasing rabbits? Kaylee, the cheetah, they do need to rest when they can because they are so well adapted to running fast that they're not as strong as the other predators like the lions and the leopards. And so when they get a chance, they do need to take as much rest as they can. But they normally move around during the day, and then they do sleep a lot at night. That's very, very nice to see these cheetah lying nice out in the open, and this is where they normally like the best. Camden, cheetah aren't one of the cats that roar. They're not like lions that do the or the leopard, which does a the cheetah almost sounds like a little bird. It's like a ew, ew, a very squeaky noise, so they don't roar at all. And they actually can purr as well, like your little kitty cat that you have at home. You see now, I think he's listening to me when I was making those noises, and at least he's showing us his beautiful eyes. Look at that. What a good-looking young cheetah. Eh? Pretty. Very nice. I wonder how long they'll let us watch them for, because cheetah also don't really stay in one place for very long, and then they move off, so we always struggle to find them because of that. So I think we're going to still sit here and stay with these cheetah because they're so beautiful, it would be rude not to. But while we do that, let's head you on over to Taylor, who I think is not staying in the same place.
No, Ralph, we're not like the cheetah today. We're on the move. We're all go from us here on Bushwalk because we're trying to find a leopard. Now, we haven't found our leopard yet, and I think the reason for that, Craig, can you see? That is because of the animal that left the dung that you're looking at. So the elephants were here, and I think that they chased him around a bit. Now, that little insect is called a praying mantis, and it's still quite a small one. And they'll just keep shedding their skin and getting bigger and bigger. Some of them can get really, really big, but it doesn't look like it's got... I don't think it is an adult yet. I think it is still quite young. Look how it's turning its head around. They're probably a bit scared of us. But they are ferocious hunters. It's really amazing how a praying mantis can use those front legs and shoot them forward. and grab their prey. And there's little spines on there as well to hold them in place. They're so cool. Hello, little guy. And this one is perfectly camouflaged on dung like this, and even on a tree or a little branch. Woo! And they're very quick too. They can also fly. Some species of the praying mantis can even fly. Some of them will just do big jumps like that one. That's pretty cool, hey? Let's see what else is living on this dung. It maybe came around here to see if it could find some insects to eat, and it's not a bad spot to look. But this is not fresh elephant dung. This is very old. It's also under the shade. You can still see it's a bit wet inside. Like I said, it's because it's not getting the sun, the direct sunlight. There's not much living here at all. There's a couple of little creepy crawlies, little ants and things moving around, but it doesn't look like the termites have moved in just yet. Maybe the dung beetles have already been here. Now, if you're worried that I'm touching all this dung with my hand, you don't have to worry. It's okay. For herbivore dung, so animals that are just eating plants, it's fine, but you don't want to touch leopard dung. You wouldn't see me touching leopard dung with my hands. Let's see where we're going to go. Now, Diana, the smallest land mammal is what you're asking. Well, seeing as we're talking about carnivores, shall I tell you very quickly about one of my favorite, the smallest carnivore? That is the dwarf mongoose. We might see some today. They're really quite cool. I suppose some of the smaller mammals are going to go down to be mice or a little shrew of sorts, something along those lines, but I actually can't think off the top of my head which is the smallest little mammal that we get here. I can tell you the smallest bird, that's a grey pendulum tit. That's a really tiny little thing, only about that big, and they bop around the tops of the bushes. We might even see some of them too. But the smaller mammals, so like the rats and the mice and the elephant shrews and things like that, they're quite difficult to see. Even to try and see a squirrel out here can sometimes be quite difficult because they're so quick, and because there's lots of other things out here that want to eat them. So they need to make sure that they hide away the best that they can. Because if they just stand out in the open, like the elephants were, they'd be in a lot of trouble and they'd probably get eaten. Now, even those cheetah that Ralph was sitting with, especially those youngsters, would find a lot of fun in chasing a mouse around.
Yes, these guys would eat on all sorts of different things, but luckily for them, they've got a very, very clever mom. And look how fat those bellies are. It's almost unbelievable that they could eat so much meat all in one sitting. And when they stand up, it looks like they've got a baby in there. Justin, thanks for your question. You are absolutely right. Baby cheetah, they do mimic honey badgers because honey badgers have got such a reputation for being aggressive and chasing off any other predators that the little cubs, their coloration it's almost identical to that of a honey badger. So they've got like a black and white coat on their backs when they are very young. And these ones have obviously grown a little bit, so they've lost that coloration, and they are quite able to look after themselves a little bit, so they could be able to run away from lions or hyena and even leopard, so they don't really need that color anymore. It's only in the first couple of months that they're very vulnerable, and mommy might even leave them to go and get some food and hunt, and so that's when they need to be able to look after themselves when they're left alone. And it's good for them to look like a honey badger then. But you can see the nice fluffy coat. It's quite rough, is the coat of a cheetah. And they've got also a very rough tongue that they use to lick the meat. It actually helps to be able to pull off some of the meat when they are feeding. And very big ears so that they can hear as well when they're looking for food or if there's any other predators. See, they're always looking around because they're always quite nervous. Ernie, cheetah will use their spots so that they can camouflage themselves in the long grass and so that they can sneak up on their prey like the kudu this morning so they can get nice and close, and then they use their speed to run and catch the animals that they need to eat. So they need to be faster than the animals that they eat, otherwise they would never be able to catch them. So both the spots and their speed is what they need to be able to catch the animals. Now, this one's just going to the toilet. Obviously, after eating lots of food, I'm sure that they're going to be need to make a little bit of space. Now, Walter, cheetah don't really attack people. I've walked near to cheetah many times on foot without a vehicle, and they normally just run away. It's tame cheetah that maybe have been bred in captivity that they can be a little bit dangerous because they're not scared of people anymore, and they are very big cats and they've got big claws, so you always need to be careful. You can't pet a cheetah and think that it's not going to be dangerous. They are wild animals. It doesn't matter if they were bred inside like a big cage, or if they were bred in the wild like these ones. You assume that they are still wild and they are dangerous. You always be careful. But for me, a trained ranger, I know that they're not too dangerous and we can get quite close to them. I found these ones this morning while we were walking, and we were very lucky to see them, and now we're able to come back because we know where they are. They keep looking in one direction. Manny, those tails are used to help balance themselves when they're running very fast. It's almost like a tightrope walker. You know, when they're walking on their tightrope, they need to have a long pole to help them balance. While when a cheetah's running at high speed, at like 100 kilometers an hour or around 70 miles or 60 miles an hour, when they turn left, their tail goes right. And when they turn right, their tail goes left, so that they don't fall over. So it helps them balance. And that's what their long tail is for. And it's quite thick on the end as well. So it just helps them when they're running at high speed. And this one just been walking around a little bit, going to the toilet. Now, Emily, the fur of the cheetah it's quite thick, but it's almost like as thick as a pin. So it is quite thick. If you see how thin your hair is, then a cheetah's hair is actually quite thick, because it's probably 2 or 3 times the thickness of your hair. So if you take 2 or 3 of your hairs and put them together, that's more or less the thickness of a cheetah's hair. But they are still very pretty, aren't they? I know I keep saying it, but I can't help it. Especially these young ones. They are very cute. Very, very cute. He's watching. There is some movement of vehicles, but they are quite used to the cars. That's also people that are coming on safari here. They're coming to look at the animals just like us. But we all know that the rules. We don't get too close to them. We don't scare them. And we don't make any problems for them. Now, Ella, cheetah can live, I think it's for about 20 years. So a little bit like your little kitty cat at home. That's quite a good age for a cheetah. But they probably live a little bit less than that, mostly. But they can live to about that age. So it's about 20 years of age. But these ones have still got a very long life ahead of them, because they're probably less than a year old, I would say. They're growing very fast, and with a very clever mom that they've got, they're going to get all the food that they need, and they'll grow even faster. Now, Aubrey, well, their legs are almost the same length. Their back legs are a little bit longer than the front legs, because that helps them to push from the back. And they've got lots of power in the back legs to help them get to such high speeds. So a little bit longer in the back, but almost exactly the same length. And I would say that if I stand up, they probably come up to about my waist. So they're actually quite tall cats. And that's at about 80 centimeters. So what's that? That's about 3.5 feet. It's probably about a yard. I don't know what is the best for me to tell you, but about 80 centimeters. So, as I say, it's probably up to about my waist. But I'm quite tall, so some of you, that would come up almost to your armpits. It depends on how tall you are. But a cheetah is quite a tall cat. They're very skinny, though. They're built just for speed. And that's why they need to be careful of the other predators, because the other predators are all a lot stronger than them. And that's why they're always quite nervous. Now, thank you so much to all the school kids for joining us this afternoon. It's been a wonderful safari. I hope you enjoyed it with the kudu and the elephants and the cheetah. It's been absolutely amazing. And you must please join us again. It will be wonderful to have you back. And in the meantime, I'm going to send you back across to Dave. Bye for now.
Thank you very much, and what a great drive it has been, eh? Cheetahs, elephants, Taylor walking and showing you some tracks on the ground. I'm sure you've all been excited, and we're really grateful for all your questions, eh? It has been fantastic. So we've been trying to see whether we could get a leopard for you. We haven't seen any, but we haven't even seen any tracks. But hopefully the next session we have you on board will be able to show you a leopard, something different from the cheetahs or something similar. They are all cats or maybe even lions. This is how the African bushes will look like, and anytime you drive, it's like the road ends there. There's no road after that, but you might just turn around and end up seeing something interesting on the way. You see? Like what now David is showing you, we have all the green bushes there. Sometimes we'll always stop and we look and we see if there could be something interesting coming. The times we look like that and we see some tips of tails of leopards just walking in the bushes. It's not only that we look on the road for the trucks, but the times we go and we stop and we keep looking if anything could just show up. Or we see a big bush being pushed and then we'll know maybe there could be some big animal lying down there. Leah, you'd like to know whether we got cheetahs in Kenya? Yes, we got cheetahs in Kenya, just like what you saw here in South Africa, and it's a lot easier to see the cheetahs there because the habitat is different. It's more open grassland and you could see them from a distance. When we see cheetahs here, we go, yay! Cheetahs. They are like every 2-3 days. If you're lucky, you might be able to see cheetahs. That's the big difference of the habitat. And this morning and this afternoon, we had great sightings of cheetahs that we had not seen for quite some time. Leah, what could be your favorite animal, Leah? Cheetahs, leopards? Just let me know. As you use your eyes on the ground, you never know what you see. And any track can help you lead to a predator. David, you have any ideas where you want us to go this afternoon? Or what you want us to get? Treehouse Dam. All right. David thinks we should take you to the Treehouse Waterhole. Sometimes when the temperatures are high and warm like this, we'll always see animals coming for a drink, which could be a good thing to see. We could be lucky to see a leopard called Tingana drinking. And we're heading that direction, and let's find out what Taylor is doing now.
Well, that's exciting because that's an area we wanted to check at Treehouse Dam, but we're going in the opposite direction for the moment. We are uncertain as to where Tingana went. We can't find his tracks anywhere. Normally what he does is he just lays down and goes to sleep, but if some elephants have come through, they probably would have chased him away. So obviously, we're getting to where we're getting there. I'm just walking very slowly past this little leadwood. We're going to the wattle over here. I'm walking very slowly because my legs are super stiff. It's not a nice bending down and picking things up is going to be hard. I wish I had one of those grabbers, you know, Craig? When you can't bend down, I need one of those today. Anyways, after our walk yesterday afternoon and chatting quite a bit about the grasses, or actually on the last couple of walks, we've been talking about the grasses and things like that and how they're all dying. And they're not particularly nice. Some grasses obviously last better than others. And we're obviously going to start to see all the animals feeding underneath in the trees. So we're standing underneath a African wattle at the moment. Isn't it beautiful? There it's pods. Those look like they're about to fall to the ground soon if the wind blows any harder. But that's not going to be a bad thing when those pods fall down to the ground. And that's partly responsible for why there's so much nice green grass, as you can see under here. Now, we know that buffalo grass, or Panicum maximum, which is probably one of the best grasses out here for the animals to feed on, firstly because it's so high in protein. It's got an exceptionally large amount. I forgot how much it is, but it's in excess of about 8% of protein. And everything will eat it. So, I mean, from a wildebeest eating the entire plant, to a buffalo, to a zebra, then to Egyptian geese feeding on the seeds, from warthogs, the entire plant is consumed. And it's very, very good for the animals all the way through. Some of the plants are really good just with the wet season, and then they tend to become less palatable in the winter, whereas these are very, very good. Very, very good through the wet and the dry season, which is quite nice. So the reason why I was saying that the pods of the wattle trees will contribute to, well, this amazing greenery below is that any tree that produces pods or drops its leaves, unless it's a very windy day, is probably going to fall relatively close to the sort of shaded parts of the tree. And those nutrients are not wasted. They're just basically recycled back into the soil. So you'll find that the nutrients in the soil below a tree that typically bear pods is a lot better than a tree that doesn't bear pods at all. So acacia trees are particularly good for you. And most of them, of course, also have, well, nitrogen-fixing bacteria on their roots. So that helps bring about all sorts of nutrients. Anyways, let's go across to a roller.
We should now go there officially. Now, we got one roller here that's called the purple roller, and it's very different from another roller that I call my favorite roller, which is the lilac-breasted roller. And this is the purple or the rufous-crowned roller. And initially I thought she would fly away, but she has stuck there, and maybe she's looking at some insect somewhere that she would go get either on the ground, but it's like she's looking way up. I'm not sure she's looking at us, and most likely she's looking at me. I think he's seeing someone he has never seen before. We got about other types of rollers, but I think the most beautiful one is the lilac-breasted roller. And this one just blends in very well there. And most likely she would be looking and waiting to dive or fly down and get some food, an insect or a beetle. That's what they feed on. And you can see the wind, how it got some nice breeze. Paula, yes, I agree with you, and the sky is so blue, 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 and not a single cloud. That means you're not getting rains, and you'll be seeing more of these birds, Paula. I don't know how the sky looks at you outside where you are, and please remember your comments are very welcome, or any questions, hashtag safariLIVE as usual, or keep following us on a YouTube chat stream, please. That's a very beautiful sky. David is showing you, Paula, more of the clear sky we got at the moment, and that could translate in having good star night tonight. Even able to be out, we'll be looking at the stars. We might have a very clear sky watching the stars. Right, quite beautiful there, and maybe we'll move on, find out if we'll have some other different type of rollers to look at, and she'll stay there enjoying and finding out if she'll get something to bite. All right. In the meantime, let's go back to the cheetahs with Ruff.
So we've just switched around here just to come and get a closer look on Mum. And she's also got a lovely, massive belly. And she's still quite nervous. It's like she can never relax. She has like a quick cat nap, and then she's up looking around, and then down she goes again. Looks for the minute though she is relaxing a little bit now, but then you see it's very short-lived. Now, child of the universe, we're not on Torchwood at the moment. We're actually right up near to the Gowrie Gate. So we're right on the Buffels Hook cut line, which is probably about 10 meters off from where we are. So we're right near the boundary of Buffels Hook, but we're on Djuma, and so right up in the, the northwestern corner of Djuma, and literally just on the property. So if these cats had to head north for 50 meters, we wouldn't be able to follow them. So I'm hoping that they continue on south, and if they go southeast, even better, because then they might land up in the quarantine area, and then we would see them a bit more. And we can only hope. But for now, they're still on the property, and they've got nice fat bellies. Now, Eric, cheetah, they don't have same territories as leopard. Leopard have much smaller area, and cheetah will move in a much bigger range than a leopard will. So they'll move around, and obviously with their kind of habitat, I know in Namibia they've got the largest free-roaming population of cheetah anywhere in the world, and there they cover massive distances. In the and.Sydney, it's not even a national park. It's not completely sort of fenced, but it's one of the largest protected areas in the world, the and.Sydney, and there they have a lot of cheetah, and they move freely there, and they do chop and change the areas that they're in, and they move very large regions as well. So these cheetah, they could potentially move off tomorrow and we never see them again, and that is quite regular, sort of come in and out on quite regular times. So leopards have much smaller territorial ranges than a cheetah would. So this female and these two youngsters, all we got to hope is that they find this a nice productive area to be in and comfortable, and then they might stay a little while. That would be fabulous. Now, Paul, a cheetah, yes, they can adapt their running style to different terrains. Obviously, I've seen cheetah hunting in thickets, in very thick bush. I watched that. It was one male in the Masai Mara, and I actually even forgot his name now, but he hunted bushbuck in one of the luggers there, or the dongas, or the drainage lines that was so thick you could hardly see 5 meters in it. And he was almost, it seemed like, specializing in that kind of terrain, keeping a low profile away from the musketeers, the 5 boys that would have probably quite easily killed him. And he was then just running through the thickets. And cheetah, surprise, surprise, can actually do very well in quite thick areas. Naturally, I think that they are the most comfortable on open plains, but that does not mean that's the only area that they survive in. They naturally occur in all sorts of different terrain, from thicket to grassland. So, and they will obviously then have to adapt accordingly, because on the open plains they can really go for it and hit their straps and run at full speed. But running through the thickets, they'd have to be a lot more careful, because hitting branches and thorns at high speed, they would obviously injure themselves. So they need to be a lot more agile in those kind of areas. But it's always the best to watch cheetah hunting in the open, because we get to see most of it. And that's also why it's so nice to watch cheetah too, because with them being daytime hunters, we do get to actually witness a lot more of their hunting and their kills, etc. With the lions and leopard, with their nocturnal sort of behavior, we do miss a lot of it when we're back at camp sleeping. Whereas with the cheetah, they sort of have similar hours to us. Now, Kwan, with such full bellies like that, the potential is there for them to not eat for 10 days, even up to about 2 weeks, but at that stage they'll be really hungry. So I'll put my money on about 7 to 10 days. So in about a week, they'll probably start looking again for some more food. They could kill before that, but they could really survive on a good few days. They literally gorge themselves. I've just been, when we started on the game drive, I went straight to where the carcass was to see if they were still there, but they've totally flattened it. And when I say flattened it, I literally mean that. It's only skin and skull left. The rest is gone. It is finished, and it's all in their bellies there. So that's one of their adaptations as cheetah. They are extremely fast eaters, and they need to be because the other predators, once they pick up that there's meat around, it's even 2 jackals can chase cheetah off a kill. I've seen that happen, and vultures chase them off as well. So all of that energy expended on killing a kudu, and the potential is there that they could just be chased off. And if that happens a couple of times, they can literally exhaust themselves and die of pure exhaustion. So they really need to eat fast once they've made a kill and get that energy and protein into their bellies, and as much as possible, as fast as possible, before anybody else picks up that they're around and that they've got meat. That's also why they've probably moved away from that carcass as well, because now the hyenas can move in and they can have their fill of the skin and skull that's left, but they're nowhere in the area. They're a good few hundred meters away, and this female's probably quite experienced in the fact that she knows she needs to get her cubs away from any potential danger, and lying up next to a carcass is just inviting trouble. So she's doing the best thing for herself and for her cubs. Now, Gina, the cheetah can have up to 6 cubs at a time. It's been known for them to have that, but generally I would say it's probably 2 to 3. That's probably the general amount, but they can easily have 4. Most common I've seen is 3. With most cheetah that I've come across with young cubs, 3, and it's not always that all of them survive. So it would be interesting to know whether she's had more cubs and the others just didn't survive. They got taken out by hyenas, or they possibly were weak and they didn't make it, or she's got 2 now, but that's not to say that she only had 2. She might have had more. She might have had 3 or 4, and they just haven't made it. Quite regular that that happens. So one of the survival strategies then of a cheetah would be to have more cubs, in the hope that there would be at least 1 or 2 that then make it. So this is a very lazy 3 cheetahs that we're sitting with, but, well, I think it's very interesting all the same. Now, let's head you off to the bushwalk team. I hear they're strolling along.
We'll be strolling. That's what we'll be doing. Have a look at this little feather. Let's play a game, shall we? Not the kind that's going to end in a horror story, though. Hashtag safariLIVE. Who's this from? Well, actually, lots of them on the ground. Look, Craig, there's another one. Yo. There's another one. That one's a bit wet, though. Lots of them. This should help give you a clue as to who it is. There were even more. Kirsten, stop guessing. Kirsty's giving the most ridiculous answers. I'm not talking to you currently. I'm asking the viewers a question, not your opinion. Where are the other feathers? I saw lots of them. Where did they go? Surprised, because there's no tree. Obviously, I suppose they're light there. It would have blown with the wind. Okay, well, there were a couple of them. It might have been a bit further down than we were at, but that's okay. So that will give you a clue. Do you want one more look? Can I have one more look? Jenny, that's a good guess. You guessed a crested barbet. Good guess, but I don't think it's from a crested barbet. I don't think so. Florida, you're right. You said a chicken. Well done. That's exactly what it is. No, it's not. It's not a chicken. But good guess, Florida. Craig, careful. I don't want you to walk into that there tree. P Heart, you guessed a bush shrike. So I suppose it could either be an orange-breasted or a grey-headed bush shrike. That's a good guess. I don't know if I'm going to go with that, though. I don't think I'm going to go with a bush shrike either. Looks like there's some down on these feathers, so it must come from the breast or on the underside of the bird. Leah, guinea fowl, wrong colours, I'm afraid. Guinea fowl have black feathers with white little dots on them. We're going to just walk to this pad. Oh, Craig, where are you going to go? Don't know. Do you want to go the scenic way around? Over the logs? Or are you going to be fine? Craig's got a big antenna above his head, so he's going to duck underneath all the branches. Okay, so I don't think anybody's guessed or is going to guess it. However, and just as I was about to give my answer, Mike, well done, you win. You said a green pigeon. That's exactly what I think it's from, because it's not quite yellow, and there's definitely a slight tinge of green in there. So I think that there were a couple of African green pigeons sitting in a leadwood tree, and I've seen them around here before. There are lots of jackalberry trees. You know, they're starting to get fruit, which will be a tree that they're feeding on and spending a lot of time in and around these sort of drainage systems around here. So I think that it's definitely from an African green pigeon. Very cool, but I've got some cool African green pigeons in one of my books, so we don't need to keep those. Now, we've arrived at this little pan that seems to have filled up quite nicely since the last time that I saw it. So it's quite a nice spot to come and have a little look around to see if anybody's sort of drank from it, but nothing immediately pops to mind. There's some tiny little hoof prints here. You won't be able to see them very well. They're very old though as well, so there's not much definition to them. That's probably from a little commendator sneaking out to quickly come and have a drink. They don't need to drink too much water though. They will when it's available. And this is actually quite a nice pan to drink from, because there's quite a bit of cover around here too, which I suppose can also work against a little herbivore, because that means that a lion or a leopard could hide behind you too. But they don't normally spend too much time drinking. So a lot of the vegetation they're feeding on, they'll get the dew from that. Who else have we got? I'm surprised we aren't seeing some big sort of areas around here, sort of little wells developing from the warthogs wallowing. Perhaps there's no warthogs that have moved in on this side. Lots of bird tracks though, lots of turtle dove tracks coming down to drink. Emerald spotted wood dove tracks. Although, somebody came sliding on in here. Come and have a look. Was it from an elephant? Look at the dark mud marks that you can see. It's quite hard, so it's not fresh. There's some patches that haven't dried yet, but I think this is a couple of days old. That could either be from an elephant standing in, throwing mud over the side of its body, and it's splashing like that. I think that's actually probably what it is from, because I don't think anything would sit and sort of rub around on such a small ridge. There are many trees, for instance, like this is a better tree. This tree, you can also see, has had its fair share of mud actually thrown on it. This doesn't look like anything coming to rub up against it. Normally when you see animals that have rubbed up against the tree, you'll see a sort of a smear mark. This looks more like an elephant or something standing here, throwing water around, throwing mud around, and something was rubbing there rather than up top over here. Quite nice. And at that height, probably something like a buffalo or a rhino, or a little elephant too, or a little lily. What else have we got here? Yes, guide monkey. They're saying, watch my step. I suppose I better. So sore. Craig laughs at me every time I make a sound. I'm collecting scrub hair dung. I've got a pocket full already. That's lip ice. We'll put that back in the pocket in a minute. Let's try the balancing act there. No, stay. Poo poking. Chris likes that. She says she quite enjoys the poo poking. From now on she shall be using it. This is scrub hair dung from probably about 2 weeks ago. has been living in this jacket pocket. It's probably been through the washing machine as well. Does it count as being redigested for a third time? Perhaps not. But I always keep a pocket of it when I'm on a bushwalk so that I can grab handfuls if the wind changes and I'm with a breeding herd and I can do something dramatic like this. No one's going to be doing anything like that, so that's of course what we just pretend to do when we have guests to make us look like we know exactly what's going on with the bush. Anyway, David has arrived at some hippos. I wonder if they're the 3 most entertaining hippos of Buffelshoek Dam.
Yes, I got the Buffelshoek waterhole, and still the hopes of getting our goslings have been there. And the only thing I saw here was one single hippo, which now it's gone. Oh, is it back? Yes. And, you know, it's still telling me there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I should keep coming here. It should not break my heart of saying I'm not coming here the next 1 or 2 weeks. I should keep trying. And strangely, the hippo is just alone also. And again, she goes under the water. The only life I saw here of avians were just blacksmith lapwings. And apart from that, there's no any other sign of birds living here. There they are. Well done, David. And the blacksmith lapwings, there are 2 of them, as usual. In general, being a pair, monogamous. That's the other one there. Very good reflection, seeing them in the water, so they keep feeding. Running, chasing any insect that could be on the edge of the water. And the goslings not anywhere around here. All right, I think it's time I stop talking about them for today, and maybe for the next few days until I have something better to say, and move on looking for some other animals. Right, going to leave this waterhole, move forward, maybe get something more interesting. And we'll be finding out what other plans we make to find out where the goslings might have gone. And as I said earlier, not talk about them anymore until the next few days. All right, vámonos. Thinking I might swing by Torchwood, a new area. Today is the day we are allowed to go in there. I've never been there. It'll be my first time. My camera gentleman here, David, has been there, and he thought it was an exciting place to be. There's some huge rocks, like outcrops, like what we call koppies, huge ones. And sometimes lions love lazing about or warming up there or looking around their world to see if there could be some interesting prey or antelopes passing by, and they decide to go for them at night. So that should be my immediate destination and plan right now. Just go. I don't even see them. I'm not promising we'll see them, but even if we miss them, it will be fun for me to go to a new area and venture into a new world. David tells me the vegetation is more or less the same, but there are more open areas and huge, bigger rocks that we don't have where we are here at Juma. So I'm getting excited as I'm heading that direction. Could see the Torchwood pride of lions there, which would be amazing. Much finer sound here than we had before, which could be good to look for trucks. I'm only seeing impalas, antelopes, but nothing to do with a cat. Right, Ralph got another big elephant.
Well, look at this. We're still sitting with the cheetah, but these 2 elephant bulls just started strolling through in the background. And, well, they're just almost right behind where the cheetah are. But they didn't seem to realize that the cheetah were here. And they've just carried along on their way, quite happily moving through. There was one younger bull and then a nice fully grown adult. So it was like a little boys' club there. And, well, we're still just sitting with these lovely fat cheetah, but there you might see those ellies moving through in the background. Now, child of the universe, oh, there's the elephant there now, coming through, well spotted, Ferg. From the parts that I've moved through and what I know of, I think Mala probably has the best, and they've got like the biggest traverse as well inside the Sabi Sands, so I would say that they're probably in the best zone for cheetah, but I've also heard them in Torchwood a little bit, so... Well, let's hope that these cheetah find Djuma, the perfect habitat, and they just stay here and make it home. That's what I'm hoping for. But I think, yeah, I would say Mala, and that big traverse that they've probably got the best space for them, and a very good habitat for the cheetah. Fat bellies, yeah. I wish I could eat that amount, and then I wouldn't have it to eat for a few days. It's incredible. Me to you, cheetah are pretty water dependent, but they can go quite long periods without drinking. I would say at least every second day they would have to drink water, because in the desert parts of Namibia, as I say, there's a big population of them there, and very far between water points. So they're not a true desert-adapted animal in that they don't need to drink open-standing water like a oryx or a springbok or a ground squirrel and the ostriches. They never need to drink water ever. However, a cheetah does need to drink water, and regularly. So I would say they can probably go maximum maybe 3 days without water, probably quite similar to us. With them having eaten like this, I wouldn't be surprised if they do go off and drink at some stage quite soon. Maybe this evening, maybe after they've had their lovely cat nap and their snooze here. We are very close to Sydney's dam, which is just off of the property. There's also some little pans just to our south as well, where they could get some water and go for a drink. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's next on the agenda of these cheetah, unless they've already been for a drink and then they've come here after they left the carcass. So, because we came back after this morning's drive, and some of the staff all came to have a look because it was so exciting that cheetah are back on the property that everybody wanted to come and have a look, even down to Amanda, our lovely cook in the kitchen. She also wanted to come and have a look, and why wouldn't you? So she came through, had a look, and then after that, between then and now, they've moved. So whether they went for a drink in between, I'm not quite sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do still go for another drink and help the digestion. Now, who cares? And that's not me saying who cares. Yes, I'm answering that question to who cares. Cheetah, they are quite highly strung, so they don't sleep as in long patches like lion and leopard do. It almost has like a hierarchy, I would say, from lions being the most easy sleepers and probably the deepest sleepers because of their sheer size and bulk and prowess as a predator. They can fully relax. Then I would say it's the leopard that can sleep very well, especially when they're up in a tree and they're pretty confident that nothing can get up there to them. And then it's obviously down to the cheetah, who very highly strung. They're always looking over their shoulder, but they can sleep, a good few hours during the day and a good few hours at night. But as I say, they're always edgy, always nervous, always looking over their shoulder. And so it's sort of very patchy with cheetah. And even as we sit here, they're lying, they're relaxed, in the sense that the body is flat on the ground. But look at her. She's continuously looking around and not at ease. And so are the two youngsters as well. And that's just sort of pure genetic behavior of cheetah. They need to be like that in order to survive. So natural selection has said that, has landed up being with the cheetah. The nervous ones are the ones that are actually going to survive. And so that gene is now bred through in all of the cheetah. Nervous cheetah equals a living cheetah. See how he's always watching over. We just saw, that was just those wildebeest and impala that we were watching earlier. And I don't know if he's having a look over at the impala with the idea of hunting them, or if he's concerned that there might be something on its way. Matt, I think that the reason these cheetah are here today is for the exact reason I was chatting about the particular topic yesterday, complete randomness. I think that they are just randomly here. They randomly spotted a kudu, and it was probably perfect timing, and random perfect timing at that. So, randomness, like we chatted about, it really does work well if you're quite random in your movements, etc. You can actually land up getting quite lucky. But for any particular reason, I'm not quite sure that they've been pushed off, or they've been evading another cat or another group of cheetah or lions or leopard or whatever. I personally think it's totally random that they have now arrived on Djuma. What's he doing there? Chasing insects or flies? You're going to plop down now. There we go. Oops. Down he goes for another little cat nap. That's always nice, though, with cheetah. Even though they do sleep, even when they've eaten, etc., they'll still be reasonably active because of their nervous nature. They sit up, they look around, they flop back down. 2 minutes later, they sit up again, they look around, they flop back down. So not like lions, which, if this was lions, I would have left long ago already, because they're lying on their back and maybe they flick their tail. But anyway, maybe just change my position slightly. In the meantime, let's head you off to David. I wonder what he's been able to find.
Yes, changing positions is always welcome in the bush, because also that changes all the dynamics of where you are. And we're just having a small little argument here with my younger brother David, telling me he saw lions the other day in Torchwood, where we are not very far from there, and definitely we are going to see them. And I warned him and cautioned him that might not be a very good thing to say, because there's no guarantee. And that reminded me of a place I used to work in East Africa, where as a guide you'd have a game scout, not like where you have game scout sitting here. You'll have a game scout at the back of the car there, and they would stand up, and that would give them a higher elevation or vantage point to be able to see where I cannot see at my eyes level. And I would say the spotter, as we would call them, the spotter was meant to go out with that particular day, did not show up, so I had to get another spotter who was on standby, who was not very experienced. He was very excited to hear he's going with me to spot the game. And we head out, and I could see the happiness and the joy in his heart. And he kept saying, let's go, let's go, let's go. And I asked him, what do you mean, let's go, let's go? I know where the lions are. And I'm like, 1 minute, we have just started. But when he was a young boy, when he was grazing, his father's goats and sheep, there's a distance, there's a place he had seen lions way back. And he thought those lions were still there 5 years later. And we drive and we get to a place, and he tells me, keep going. And then turn right, turn left, turn right. I'm like, 1 minute, where are the lions? You keep going. And then we stopped one point, and he said, the lions were here. Not here, they were here. I'm like, you're a joker. We need to spot them now, not what you saw 5 years ago, eh? So, David, I'm giving you a warning. What you saw 3 days ago. I was laughing and thinking whether I am okay with a very favorite drink.
Oh my goodness. How terrible is that? Sorry about that. Gremlins. That's been a while. Right, we're on bushwalk. We're deciding where we're going to go. We can't find Tingana. So we're deciding, do we go there and then risk the fate of being picked up? But I don't quite like standing in the middle of the wilderness late at night. So I think we should eventually cut down there. There's a nice big animal pathway just around the bend. We'll go down into the drainage line, have a little look around there. Maybe we'll get a couple of birds. It'll be quite cool. But for now, I just heard the go-away birds. They make strange sounds, those creatures. We found some blackjacks, though, and I'm glad I saw them before I walked into them, because these are particularly nasty things that, well, get stuck in your body. They're probably one of the best, when you can see, when it comes to getting stuck on animal fur. And it takes quite a bit to get out. I mean, if I had to put one of these in my hair now, oh, that would be a nightmare. I don't think I'd be able to get it out very well. And you can see just the way that it sticks to my arms. It's not particularly nice. Trying to get blackjacks out of your socks, you just throw the socks away, buy a new pair. There's honestly no worth. I don't know any person patient enough in the world to sit and individually pull blackjacks up. But they're not supposed to be here. Fortunately, they got caught in all the lucerne bales being brought over from, well, probably from Europe, coming to South Africa, and now it's spread like wildfire, and you see them everywhere. So they're not very nice. What else have we got around here? It's very quiet. No more flowers. No. Child of the universe, great question. Well, obviously having these later rains, and it's sort of being continuous, having it for the last few weeks, once or twice a week, not particularly big rains, but all it's going to do is it's just going to greenen up the grass slightly. So it's going to keep it sort of growing again. So it depends, I suppose, on the grass species. That's the most important thing out here at the moment is, well, the vegetation. Because in winter, the animals obviously become a lot more weakened because they aren't able to eat as much vegetation as they normally would, or they're having to eat a lot more, but they're not quite getting the same type of nutrition from it as they would in the rainy season. So with it greening up like this, it's just going to allow those animals to stay fit and healthy for a little bit longer, and they're not going to take as much strain during the winter months. All the animals out here in winter, I mean, even down to something like an aardvark or an aardwolf, or even a pangolin that feeds on ants and termites that aren't as active during the winter months. They tend to close their mounds up to help keep the warmth in, not let the warm air escape. And they've got to work a bit harder. So even those creatures, not just something like an elephant or an impala that's quite obvious, or buffalo in particular, they suffer quite badly. They normally lose a lot of condition, but we don't think about the smaller things too. A lot of the insects go and estivate. So things like the ladybirds are all congregate in crevices of wood, and a variety of other insects too, and hide away there. So it becomes increasingly hard. But with those late rains, those insects are going to be more active. It's still quite warm, so there's a lot of food around. I can't believe we're still seeing caterpillars. We're still seeing larvae of animals before we go into the winter months. Normally by now, there's just a couple of butterflies fluttering about, but you really aren't seeing any caterpillars of any sort. So that's quite interesting. And, well, I mean, we can only predict so much. We'll have to kind of just go with the wave and see what it's like over the next couple of months. I still think we're going to fall short for water. We always do. I think Buffelshoek Dam and Treehouse Dam will be the two that have water in. Obviously, the little pan where we've now moved the dam cam to is a pumped pan, so that's always going to have water. That's going to be a very popular area there. Watch that vegetation disappear first. It's going to be trampled, it's going to be eaten, because animals are going to start hanging around those nice freshwater areas. Then the elephants, the buffalo, they're going to utilize Treehouse Dam and Buffelshoek Dam. They'll go there and predominantly have sort of mud baths. And I think there are some pump pans up in Buffelshoek too, so they'll sort of be moving around. There aren't too many pump pans. Chitwa has got a beautiful dam that the elephants will go and swim in. So it's going to be quite nice. And I think Chitwa Dam has actually filled up quite a bit too. This is the pathway we're going to go down. Doesn't it look so mysterious? Quite like it. Almost a bit like a fairy tale. Maybe not a fairy tale. Maybe something more like Hansel and Gretel, where we're not sure where it's going to lead us to. I think it looks quite eerie down into a drainage, and we don't know what we're going to see. Well, those cheetahs are still having a well-deserved rest after a big meal. I don't even think they're going to twitch an ear.
Yes, well, look at that. They are twitching ears and they're looking around, but they're not, and they're sitting up every now and then they flop back down, so they're not doing too much. But well, it's such a lovely sight to be in the presence of these cheetah that I'm just probably going to spend the best part of the drive, if not the entire drive. Well, we could probably call it a sit this time round, because I'm just going to be staying with this lot and really enjoying being next to them. There she goes for a little snooze again. Now, Samu, who's 9 years old, thanks for your question. It's not really easy for them to run when they've got full bellies like this. So it's very unusual for them to try and hunt something when they've eaten so much. So I doubt that you will see them running anytime soon. It's going to take a few days for them to digest all that meat. So, no, and you'll see if she sits up or if she stands up, which I'm sure she will do at some stage, you'll see her stomach looks huge. She has really eaten a lot of meat. And for her to run like that, you know, if she had to run really fast for a while, I think she might actually regurgitate all of it. It probably wouldn't be very healthy for her. So all she's got to do, and these two youngsters, is literally exactly what she's doing now. Resting and digesting. In Afrikaans, we have a very nice saying, which is maag is vol, oog is toe, which means when your stomach is full, your eyes go closed, or you get very sleepy. And this is exactly the case here. So it's like after a nice Sunday roast and you've eaten almost too much, you really immediately are almost pretty much straight off to bed to go and digest all that lovely supper. That's exactly the case here. You can see how they are quite sleepy after the effort of catching the kudu, but also just from the pure thing of having a full belly. Do you see how never totally relaxed, huh? I would hate to be a cheetah. A very nervous nature. Oh, I can hear some Egyptian geese. I wonder if there's a chance that they could be the little goslings at Sydney's dam. But always listening out, always on the lookout and on the listen out for any potential predators or anything else coming into the area, and then they would push off. It is quite windy today as well, so that's not helping things. Now, Mina Mu, you're wondering about cheetah and their paw pads. I'm just going to quickly get my little tracking book out, and then I'll show you exactly what a cheetah's pads look like in comparison to the others. I'll just find the cheetah tracks. There are you. Mongoose, obviously much bigger than mongoose, smaller than lions. Similar size to leopards, but it's a little bit more elongated. So, and as I will show you as soon as I can find it, jackals, civet, baboons, here we go, hyena, domestic dog, right, leopard, lion, cheetah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to stick it up here nicely in the light for you, Ferg. Up on the dash here. Is it better in the light? There we go. Okay, so these are cheetah here, and you can see nice 3 lobes, all right? Very long type of pad, and also you have that very clear indent over there. Whereas, if you're looking at a domestic dog, which is just below it here, also the 3 lobes, which is quite unusual because you would think that it's being a dog, it's only got 2 lobes, but it does have 3. And the very important part is you see how that apex goes like a V, or it's rounded, but a rounded V at the top there. So that's the big difference with a lot of the animals. Now I'll just switch over and we can see the difference between a leopard track over here. Obviously a lot more round than the cheetah track, and also you don't get to see the claws in that. Sorry, as I say, it is quite windy today. There we are. And a leopard track is almost perfectly round. It's almost the perfect track, and then you get those lovely round circles on the outer edges as well. Whereas a lion, slightly similar to that of a leopard, just a lot bigger, and the toes are not as round as in a leopard. So very nice comparison there. And they do, both the leopard and the lion, as well as the cheetah, have that indent on the top, but it's on the proximal pad, which is the back pad of both cheetah and leopard. It's almost like a V. If you see what I mean, that part there going into a V, whereas with the cheetah, going back to it, it's very long and almost like a rectangle or oblong, if I can say that. So, and you can often see the little claws in the tracks as well. So there you are, nice little difference between the cheetah, the leopard and the lion tracks. Also much more space between the back or proximal pad and the toes. There you are. And there's the wild dog at the top. Very similar to a domestic dog, but we don't see that third lobe in there. Also a V at the top of the proximal pad, and then otherwise quite similar to a jackal track, a little bit larger, however. So that's it. Oh, and it looks like this female cheetah has put her head up. She was listening to the little lesson. Now, these cheetah aren't going to be getting up to too much, but somebody that is getting up to quite a bit is Rafiki Dave. He's off on Torchwood. Let's see what he's doing out there.
A fantastic job Ralph is doing, and I'm exploring a new world for my first time in my life in Torchwood block, and it looks different. And see how beautiful it is, looking at the different shades of green, the tree line there, the beautiful blue sky Paula was watching before. I hope, Paula, you're still watching this. And in the foreground you can see the nice big outcrop of rocks there, with all rains that have water that has been collected from the rain the last few days, with the rains have been continuing. And such small ponds of collection of water is where you would see small antelopes like duikers coming for a drink. This is magical. It's so beautiful. It's very different, and a different habitat from what I've been seeing. And I'm looking at maybe the other types of animalia I would see here would be reptiles like the geckos laying on top there, or monitor lizards enjoying the warmth of the sun on this kind of rocks here. Or as I said earlier, maybe a duiker coming for a drink. Some birds also might come here, have a little drink on top of the rock here, and they make very huge, I would say, outcrops, like what you'd compare to kopjes, only that kopjes are much bigger in size. But this looks like a very good ground for lions to come and look and enjoy the wilderness, when they would be chancing for small little animals either coming for a drink, or they could spot wildebeest or zebras passing around, and they might decide to go for them. Or they can see, I would say, buffaloes nicely from here. I would say it's a great vantage point for any predator to come and survey the surrounding. Some of the dead trees there, I think some of them have started shedding. Yeah, I agree with you, Cassie, it's beautiful. Shedding the leaves as winter is coming in. And I've noticed the vegetation is much the same, like where we're coming from in Juma. Not much of a difference. The only striking thing that I've seen that's different here is the big outcrop, which is a bit different from what I've been seeing the last few weeks. So we'll keep moving on. I'm enjoying the area, not much looking for the animals, but also feeling the air and, you know, knowing how the boundaries here go. We'll move forward now and go explore to another area. And remember, I warned David not to talk about lions. I don't know where the lions are, David, now. You remember? So that was a huge mistake. I might request the chef back in Camp Amanda not to serve him any dinner. He's saying a big no. The only interesting thing, David loves eating. It's a young boy who is growing, and I think to him food is very important. Taylor got some tracks as I continue exploring my new world.
I'm so glad you're enjoying exploring your new world. Now, we need to be a little bit careful over here. It's because we've seen some fresh signs of buffalo. There's some dung down this animal pathway. It's a bit far away. But I haven't actually seen any footprints of that buffalo. I thought that he would have been wallowing here, right in the middle. But it seems like not today. Must have just passed on through here, an old favourite route. But there are some other animals that were here maybe yesterday or the last few days. Look at these big tracks. They're like dinosaur feet in the mud. These are from hippos. And there were quite a few different hippos of varying sizes coming through here. Most likely late at night. I don't think to wallow at all. Maybe they just popped in to have a bit of a drink, because they were moving around quite a bit. Most of these hippos that we're seeing grazing here actually come all the way from Chitwa. Now, it sounds like it's quite far away, but as the crow flies, maybe only 4 or 5 kilometers, if even that, and we know that a hippo can quite easily travel over 8 kilometers in one night. And during heading into winter, that's only going to get further and further away to try and find suitable grass. But this is a really nice area for the animals to graze in. So why not, after a big night out, it's good to hydrate. So they've come through here, and it looks like they actually waded their way in. I'm not going to go much further, but a hippo doesn't mind the mud too much, but you can actually follow the footprints going right in, perhaps further in over here to actually get a bit of a drink, or maybe even just to cover themselves in a bit of mud for a change, rather than just having some water. But again, this is a well-used pan. Lots and lots of different tracks. Like we've got some, looks like warthog tracks over here. That looks like a warthog track. They probably would have come in, you can see just over there, stepping in. Also, again, not old, nothing too fresh. Just a couple of bird tracks coming in to have a drink. But hippo tracks all the way around. Have a quick look here. Now, Saskia, I'd be a little bit nervous if I see a hippo right now. For me, buffalo and hippos are the two animals that I don't really want to see when I'm out on a bushwalk, especially not to surprise them. I suppose if you give them a bit of notice and you let them know that you're around from a distance away, the situation might not turn to hairy. But the problem comes in is when you surprise these animals. And a hippo sunk into this mud over here, we wouldn't see it. Look at the level difference. This is quite a high rise. It doesn't seem like much. It's probably less than 3 feet in sort of as high as the slope is in comparison to where the water is. But we came out from this drainage line below. We walked up. We wouldn't even see a buffalo or a hippo sitting in here. And that could be a little bit of a problem. Firstly, because mud has become now an obstacle. It's difficult to move away. You're not going to be able to run away as quickly as you would if you were out on land. And then also, hippos don't feel safe when they are out on land or in a little pool like this. Even if you approach a hippo in a vehicle and they're in a mud wallow, they're probably going to run into the bushes where they've got a bit more cover. So, surprising buffalo and hippo, not a good idea. So, I mean, I've seen lots of hippos on bushwalk before. We used to see them a lot down in the Eastern Cape, because down there were big rivers, the Kariga and the Bushman's River, that ran sort of up along these cliff faces or down below these cliff faces, and with beautiful forested areas. So it was nice and cool around there. So it wasn't unusual to see a hippo out during the day. And we used to often do our bushwalks early in the morning, because it gets quite hot down there. We didn't actually do too many late afternoon bushwalks. And then you'd see them just moving through the thicket. You'd hear that sound that a hippo makes as it's grabbing grass, as it constantly walks, because they don't really stand still. They kind of always on the go and munching about. So that was okay, but we'd view them from a distance. But when you surprise a hippo, and especially when it's in winter, as we've been talking about, when the animals are a lot more stressed for food, it's a problem. They might not react in that nice, calm way or run away from you like they normally would. So it's always best to be careful. But this time of the evening, it wouldn't surprise me if we did see a hippo. The sun's starting to go down, as you can see. Herbie's just relaxing. He's taking 5. He's reading. And the same for a buffalo. So we do have to be careful. There is another set of wallows not too far away from here, but I haven't heard any grunts and groans that a buffalo might make if it's suspected it had been spotted on foot. We haven't seen anything, and to be honest, we haven't really seen too many tracks either, but we know that there's that one buffalo bull that does like it around this area. So we do need to be careful as we start to make our way through the Mulwati and then back towards a camp again. Right, I know Ralph said those cheetah were moving closer to the boundary. I hope they haven't crossed yet.
Well, everyone, as I said, he's still sitting here with the cheetahs, and there seems to be lots of interest and lots of questions around them as well. Now, I just want to indicate to you, there's a wildebeest and some impala just near to us as well. And we initially, when we came out on the drive, I did go back to the carcass, obviously, and we thought that maybe we'd find them there, but they were not there. And then I saw these impala and that wildebeest over there, single bull, and lots of male impala, and it was actually this wildebeest that indicated to me that there was something over in this direction, and the wind is blowing directly towards them, and he was quite concerned. He was focused in this direction, and I just said to Ferg, let's go and have a look in this direction, because they are worried about something. And, well, of course, they were worried about something because there were cheetah here. So we drove in this direction, and we saw Mommy, who had stood up. So thank you, Mr. Wildebeest, for helping us to relocate this lot. I see those. Now, Carrie, it seems like that one of these cubs is a male, and I think it might be one male, one female, and I don't know the name of them. All I know is that Herbie said to me that he is pretty sure that they come from the Manyaleti, which is another one of the traverses in the Sabi Sand. Well, it's off the Sabi Sands, actually. Another big part of sort of a private reserve that is also open to the Kruger. So I don't know. We don't know anything about these cheetah. They're a nomadic 3 that have just arrived randomly, which is fantastic. But if they hang around and we get to know them a bit, maybe we'll find out a little bit more about their history, where they come from, what's going on. And as I say, I'll make some inquiries with the guides around. That's always the best first port of call, and just to check whether they know anything more. But as of now, I don't know anything about them. Now, unique, yes, you can also identify a cheetah with their spot patterns. Obviously, first and foremost, any real noticeable characteristics. But their spot pattern is slightly different to that with the lions and the leopard as well. But we'll have a look now at her, and we'll just go in a little bit there on her face, and she's perfect in the light there. So we'll just be able to go right in on her whiskers, and then you'll be able to see there that it is quite a lot different. They don't have that kind of spot pattern that you would see around the whiskers of a lion and leopard. But what they've got is they've got those spots just off to the right and left of their eyes. Now, it seems that there also is a little scar under her nose there, so that could be a characteristic that possibly we would look at. Not sure when that was there or if it's been there for a long time. There's also a little bit of a scratch on top of her nose, but that seems new, fresh. So you see there those dots there, but behind the whiskers itself. We could look at those spot patterns and then be able to identify her from there. So she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, quite dominant in a line, but it's not as easy. We'd actually have to look at the entire pattern itself. And obviously with screen grabs now, very easy, or if you took some photos. I don't have a camera with me, so I like to enjoy the moment. I've never, I do have a camera of my own, but with guests and so on, I've never really been a big photographer while I'm guiding, because I think I do miss quite a bit if I start concentrating on that, and I like to get the guests into the perfect spot for photography and all of that, as well as for you, the viewers. So I sort of think it's a bit distracting. That's just my personal opinion as a guide. In the 20 years, I've never really found it a good thing for me as a guide to be photographing while I'm guiding other people. I have had my own cameras and taken it with me, but I sort of leave it on the side, and when I go out on my own, that's when I go and do my photography, but not while I'm at work. So that's just my opinion. I know lots of the guys, Tristan and Taylor, they take fantastic photos. Kestrel Fox, you're asking me a question. I'm pretty sure that their pupils are round. We'll just double check it now. I think they normally should be. But sometimes, you get these questions that put you on the spot, and then I just actually want to double check. I'm pretty sure they are round, but we'll just see now when she turns back towards us. And I'm pretty sure she's not like a serpent, where she's got a vertical pupil. It should be round. One of the little cubbies has got his head up, but he's not facing perfectly for us to see. So let's wait for her just to turn back, and then we'll just double check that they are round. But I'm pretty sure they are. It's always funny, you get some questions that you just think, I never even thought about that. And that's one of those. Come on, show us your eyes. I'm sure they are round, because I can remember seeing them sort of focusing. There we are. Perfect. Yep. Double checked. They are round. I was thinking, sometimes when you say yes, no, of course they're round, and then the thing turns and they're completely different to what you've just said. But she is a pretty cat, isn't she? A little fly making its way up towards her eye there. Now, sloth, I think it's Siloth or sloth. The numbers of... Sorry, Kirsten, say that to me again. Siddharth. Okay, Siddharth, you're asking around the numbers of cheetah in the wild. Cheetah are actually vulnerable, if not, I'm just trying to think on the exact where they sit now on the red data list. She seems to have noticed something there. But they definitely know that they were vulnerable. I don't know if they are also endangered now, because their numbers are drastically dropping. There's probably only a few thousand of them left in the wild, where they used to be very, very well distributed around Africa. And I know that they also were well tamed up in the Saharan regions, and they used to be used to hunt game for some of the sheiks, and the Arabs used to use them, like they also do with the falconry, and they were very, very good hunters, and coexisted with humans as well. And I think even through to with the Egyptians, they also had a way of sort of taming them and assisting for hunting and catching food. But no, I know that there's only a few thousand of them left, but you could double check with that. The exact numbers are difficult to tell, quite like that with the leopards. And there's a lot of programs trying to rehabilitate cheetah that have been problem animals on different farming areas. There's the De Wilt Cheetah Rehabilitation Center in the Brits area, or in the Gauteng province of South Africa. I've visited that many times, and that was actually one of the places. It's De Wilt Cheetah Rehabilitation Center, but they actually had the first wild dog birth underground in an artificial den. They actually were able to film the first wild dog births underground, where they had double-sided glass, and they made a chamber where it was absolutely silent, and then they were able to video this. And in Namibia, they've got the AfriCat Foundation, where, as I say, with the largest free-roaming population of cheetah anywhere in the world, it makes sense to have a lot of assistance for them in Namibia. And the biggest problem there is obviously cheetah becoming problem animals with the local farmers, the sheep farmers, goats, cattle. You know, they would take out young cattle. We've just got a vehicle moving in here, one of the lodges also coming to have a look at this fantastic sighting. So cheetah are on the decline, and you know, also they say evolution-wise they're at a bit of a bottleneck, and you know, a lot of the theory is that they've almost chosen a doomed path, because they're always going to be struggling with other predators and with human habitation as well. It's almost an impossible task for us to see cheetah living in the wild for indefinite periods of time. So that's one of the reasons why when I get a chance to be around cheetah, especially in the wild, I will take every minute and every opportunity to sit with them and stay with them. Look at that, those spurfowl now coming in. I wonder if they're going to go and give these cheetah a fright like they do with us when we get a fright when we're walking. We call them the heart attack birds because they always jump up at the last minute. Now that looks like a Natal spurfowl making his way in. He's doing a little bit of clucking. There's a pair of them. What are you guys up to? Are you going to go and cause nonsense here by these cheetah? Shame, that guy's just having a lovely snooze over there. I'm going to wake him up now. But it could be interesting. I wonder if he's going to alarm call. He's going to come waltzing past this sleeping cheetah. Maybe he's playing chicken. Is he going to run past? Is he going to walk past? He looks quite nervous. He's showing off to his girlfriend, maybe. And look at that. And they're normally one of the birds that will also indicate to us where there's predators around. And they're normally getting bumped off as a leopard walks through the grass or whatever, and they quada, 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 quada. It's just clucking as it goes. Cheetah nonplussed. And they're just happily walking past in the background. And you can see that youngster now really getting into his sleep in the late afternoon sun, as the sun heading towards the horizon. And that is quite bizarre. They're just taking their chance to come into the zone of a cheetah. I wonder what he's dreaming about. Chasing rabbits, I always think. Cheetah. Hello, pretty. Are you going to do a bit of a call there for us? You can see the spurs on the back of their legs. They obviously use that for fighting. A very pretty bird in this light as well. Little clucks. Not making too much noise. Okay, so from sleeping cheetah and pretty birds, let's head you on over to Rafiki Dave with pretty antelope.
Yes, I hear the cheetahs brought down one of these species here. It brought down a kudu, and we still have more of them left. It's an indication, you know, they happen to be many of them. There's a nice herd of kudu here, and the male just appeared then disappeared again. We'll just move forward a little bit so they can get a different view. David, what do you think? I'm going to move forward a little bit, and there's a herd of kudu around here with one huge, massive male, and they're doing what they like doing this time around when it cools off, and the male is somewhere there, got a huge rock of horns. Keep going, David, stop. Okay. You can see the male there having a little bit of a scratch, and I'm sure he's the main dominant male in charge of all the females here. It's like a herd. There are so many young ones. And this is the greater kudu. First time I've seen since I've been to Torchwood. I would say, yeah, must be. I forgot about the lions of David. I thought he's a big joker. And look at the massive, or the big rack of horns with that male there. It's like dead branches. Just thank you very much. Castor agrees. Very nice. They look like dead branches just moving in the bush. And interesting, you go back to Kenya, we got different, I would say East Africa, different kudus. This particular one, the greater kudu, you have also another type that's called the lesser kudu. For a cheetah to bring down such an antelope, I think is something massive. So I don't know where the males were or the big ones were to defend that one, but if it was caught off guard, I thought, that was very good for that mother cheetah this morning. All right, I've seen some entertaining animals for the first time in Torchwood. I'll go looking for maybe cats and find out whether David's story still holds water or not. All right, David agreed, no lions, no dinner. Doesn't look with a very good eye there. He looks a very sad boy. The grass here looks taller. I don't know whether I'm right, but the grass here looks a little taller than in Juma. I don't know why. It's because I'm driving along a fire break, but the grass here looks, I would say, much taller. Yes, well done, David, there. Than in Juma. Maybe I could be wrong, but the grass here looks quite higher by maybe a few inches. All right, lions time. The temperatures have gone down pretty much now. And above all, I'm just enjoying myself, driving into a new area that I've never been before. Bush willows coming up as usual, leaves falling down because of winter. Falafioscon, if maybe I got your question right, how do you tell the greater David from the lesser David? Was that your question? Well, I think I'm a little bit taller than the lesser or smaller David, and I'm a bit older. Or is it more old? He is younger. He eats twice the amount of food I eat. So anytime we're getting served by our chef by the name of Amanda, in a plate we see with its 2 portions, everybody in the camp knows that belongs to David. That's one way we tell the difference when it comes to eating. As I said earlier, I'm a little taller than him. And sorry, signal, we may go back to rough. We may go to rough now.
Yes, cheetahs. That's all we're doing this afternoon. Thanks, Dave. He's on a road of exploration like I was yesterday. I'm sure he's loving it down that side in Torchwood. Well, I'm loving this with the cheetah as well. It's wonderful. Wonderful. Now, Mishman, I have not seen a king cheetah in the wild. I've only seen it in those rehabilitation centres, DeVilt being one in question. I've seen them there. I've also seen them at Africat in Namibia as well. and fantastic foundations they have there. But yeah, if you do know what a king cheetah is, just a slight genetic variation in the color, where they have sort of those dots start to join, and they have almost like stripes. And so it's nothing physiological difference in their body shape or head or anything like that. It's just a slight color variation in terms of their spot patterns. And so initially they did think that they were potentially different or subspecies, like they did with the white lions or melanistic leopards, or, they thought they were different. But it's just a difference in their color. That's all. So exactly the same species, but difference in the color variation there. So, and they are very pretty, I must say. I've seen some very nice looking king cheetah, but none in the wild. I'm not actually sure where they do occur naturally in the wild or where they have been spotted. I know in the Timbavati is where the white lions or the leucistic lions did naturally occur. What have you spotted over there, young man? The impala, they're moving through there in the background. Quite a nervous old individual, that one. Not that the other two aren't, they are just all nervous, but he seems to be particularly so. A little impala there walking through in the background. On the top right of your screen there. You can just see him there in the light. It's beautiful with his counter shading coloration. Dark on top, lighter on the bottom. There he is, going into the shadows now, probably looking for a fight. Now, tapa, I don't know of cheetah and leopard being able to interbreed. Probably if you left them or you put them in a cage together or you put them in a room together and left them, they would, be able to breed or mate. Whether they would have offspring, I'm not quite sure. I've never heard of it. But the real deciding factor for me would be if they did have offspring. So the potential is that even if they did mate, leopard and cheetah, there's potential for them having offspring. But I guarantee that those offspring would not be viable. In other words, they would be sterile, and it would be much like a mule or a zonkey, what we call them, a mix between a donkey and a zebra. Donkey and zebra can crossbreed, but they get a zonkey and it is then sterile. And for me, when we were studying, the question always was, how do you define a species? How is it, unique? And for me, it's actually when you can have viable offspring with a mate, that then can become a new species. For instance, with the desert elephants in Namibia, for a long time they thought that they were a subspecies, but they very often intermingle and mix with the Etosha elephants and the general Loxodonta africana, and they have viable offspring. In other words, their offspring can have offspring, and it can continue. So if cheetah and leopard had to mate, I think that they would be able to have offspring. Not that I've ever seen it or know of it actually happening. It probably has, because it's possible, and when it is possible, it normally does happen. And I would then say that those offspring would then be sterile. So it's not a viable species, and in so saying, it wouldn't be then easy for them to crossbreed and have a new subspecies of what would we call a leopard crossed with a cheetah? It would have to be a cheapod or a lita. But yeah, so a lita, Kirsten likes lita, but I think a cheapod, that's quite a good name for that. It's like those ligras that they mix a tiger and a lion. Now Ferg, I think, is trying to be artistic there with that sun starting to go down in the background. That's over towards Sydney's dam, and it is starting to show off awesome colors. And those masts there that you're just starting to see, that you did see there, that's the Gowrie Gate. So as I say, we're right here near to the boundary, and that's looking through some guarri branches. The magic quarry with the magic sunset. Beautiful. Nice one, Ferg. It is very pretty. Now, that sun is hitting down towards the horizon, and we all know what that means for the bushwalk team. I'm sure they're on their way home. Off to them.
Well, you know, I'm going out later, so I just thought I'd add my lipstick for the evening. Quite nice, eh? There was a leopard found on Weaver's Nest right now, in case David or perhaps Ralph wanted to go there. I don't know who it is. We missed it. How nice is this? So the guarri berry, not only very tasty, they're also... Don't you think it's nice? I think it's lovely. I think this is my colour. I'm now going to have purple lips, purple teeth, because it kind of looks like I've drank a bottle of red wine. We'll just carry on with our walk. It's hard to feel like a lady sometimes when you're out in the wilderness. Craig, would you like... Ow, that was not nice. You God, I just walked over because I was trying to be funny and I wasn't concentrating. Little acacia got me. Look at those thorns. That wasn't very nice. That's going to leave some scratches, but oh well, off we carry on. So yes, as I was saying, it's very hard to sometimes feel like a lady out here in the can't be serious. How am I going to get this stuff off? DJ Dialogue, you said very sick. Good pun. I don't know what I'm going to do now. Is it still on my face, Craig? Is it off? My mouth also tastes like I've just drank a whole bottle of tannins. I mean, those fruits were sweet for a little bit, but then they're so full of tannins. It's not nice. It's like eating the leaves. Anyways, we're a bit sad. Herbie's feeling heartbroken today because we were hoping to find Tingana, and I think it's Tingana that they've found on Weaver's Nest. And we decided not to go down Weaver's Nest because we'd thought that he'd gone east through the drainage line, some of his favourite routes, but he fooled us. Maybe those elephants chased him a little bit further towards a tree house dam. So we missed him today. Wasn't our day to find leopards. And well, I suppose that's okay. That's just one of those things. Oh, hang on. Yes. Yes, Craig, look. I'm not going to let you have it, though. Hee-hoo! Look at the little berry there. This is a sandpaper raisin, and I've basically just been driving around looking for this fruit. It's so nice. Oh, this is my new favorite fruit. It tastes like... amazing. It tastes like a little bit... anyone eaten tamarind fruit before? A little bit tamarind-like, so it's a bit tart, but also quite sweet. Never tasted anything like it. Oh, is this another one? Is that another one? No, this one's not ripe. You see, it needs to go that lovely colour. My hands are now obviously really pink. But you can still eat them, says Herbie. And then when you eat them when they're like this, they're crunchy. And it tastes like you're eating a pear. That's what it tastes like. Tamarind fruit crossed with a pear, but a little bit sweet and tart. Actually not bad. Let me see if I can find a nice one for Craig, because that's selfish of me. Right, but they're so hard. You normally get like 1 or 2 ripe ones on a tree because the squirrels, the monkeys, and the birds are absolutely obsessed with the sandpaper raisin fruit. And I just can't believe we never get the opportunity to eat any big one. Where, Craig? That one? Well, you can reach out and try it. I don't think that one's ready. Craig's got one. Made him get it himself. Mr. Public, I don't think we need to worry too much about the leopard scent marking on the trees. Maybe it will add flavour. It wouldn't be nice, but it wouldn't surprise me if I haven't already eaten fruit that has been, well, had a multitude of different types of urine on it from just grabbing things. We don't wash anything out here in the bush. Oh, that's a bit sad that there's no more ripe ones. Not any. We'll just take one for just in case. Oh, no, that was sour. No, I'm done now. I'm not tasting anything in the bush anymore. That's me finished. Okay, let us march. Let us carry on marching. Herbie, I'm going to have to catch up with Herbie and get a sip of water. That one was really sour, more tart than anything. Okie dokie, Ralph is obviously still with those cheetah who have got big bellies and fast asleep.
Well, pick their heads up a little bit now. And I must say, Taylor, you're quite brave because those guarri berries are very sour. I know them very well, and I'm not a fan, so good on you. But, well, we're still just enjoying our time with these 3 cheetah as we watch them in their nervous behavior, just flicking their ears and always looking around, trying to see what's going on in the area. Luckily, there's not too much happening that could push them off for now. And they're not too far from where they ate that kudu. There could always be some hyenas coming through now. Now, Love App, thanks for your question once again. Well, cheetah, they can climb trees, and they do have the tail for it, but you know, here in this particular area, there's not the really great trees for them to climb. They're not very well evolved to climb trees. And, well, getting up those marula trees like the leopards do, it would take a bit of doing from a cheetah. I've never seen one actually be able to get up one of those. So they more climb up, you know, sort of fallen trees that are lying on their side and that kind of stuff, but not real tree climbing like a leopard does. And so, yeah, they could use their tail for balance, but they need to have their claws and their body sort of designed for that kind of climbing, and they really are more adept on the ground and running at speed. And that's what they're really good at. Whereas a leopard, being a tree climber and an ambush hunter, that's their line of evolution that they've taken. It always fascinates me how pretty their eyes are. Now, Minamu, cheetah don't have the best night vision. You can see they do have that white under their eyes to assist them in getting some good light into their eyes at night, but they are mostly designed for good daytime vision. So, well, those pupils will probably expand a lot as well to allow more light in, but they're not as well adapted to see in the dark as are lion and leopard, because they've taken the line of being diurnal or daytime active, and in so doing avoiding those nocturnal predators. So they're not particularly nighttime hunters either, although I have seen cheetah hunting at night. But they're not as good as the lion and leopard. And I've seen them make kills during the night as well. I think also in the Masai Mara, I think Jamie had a couple of them times when they were hunting in the dark. So, yes, they can see much better than us in the dark, let me put it that way, but not quite as well as lion and leopard. There's that real beautiful light now, the golden hour, as we say. There's the gate, with those little masts there sticking up. So we're very close, and I can hear some Hardydar ibis calling, and the Drakensberg there in the real background, just see the tip of it. But, so our cheetah are laying in a very lovely setting here. Paula, yeah, cheetah can swim. I've seen them in the Okavango Delta swimming, but they really don't look comfortable. But they can cross rivers. I didn't see them doing it in the Masai Mara, but I'm pretty sure that they would cross the Mara River and would have to swim to get across. But they really look like drowned rats when they get out, and they don't look comfortable at all. So, yeah. They can swim, but not very good at it. Not like my Bassethound dog. He's a machine in the water. Yeah, and she starts now doing a little bit of grooming. So, a very inactive cheetah, but still beautiful all the same. Now, I wonder if Rafiki Dave's found any clues of those lions.
Rafiki Dave is enjoying, or is happy to hear Raf is having a good time with the cheetahs that we haven't seen for ages. And now that's making me think it's time also to look for my own other types of cheetahs, be it a leopard on this maybe last 45, half an hour left or so of the drive, because it has cooled off massively, and see whether to get my friend, the leopard Tingana. A friend of mine told me on radio they had him sawing from a distance. They weren't very sure the vocalization. They could not zero in very well where it was. So I'm trying to head out the same direction they were, or where my friend is, and maybe combine efforts and see if we might see Tingana, my favorite leopard. The sun is going down, and I would want us to have a little glimpse of it. I'm sure it's all gone, but that sky to me looks beautiful. David, do you agree? I think that's a marvelous sky. As I'll pause for a few seconds to hear if Tingana might show, or in the vocalization from him. What a view. Greyish sky, yellow peaches, blue, green mountains in the background. I need to get the name of those mountains there. They're just wonderful. I hear they're called Bragensba Mountains. There's someone who whispered to me by the name of James Henry. And let's see. Look at that beautiful face. Where have you been, James, all this time?
Flying.
I even didn't know he has been with us, and this is interesting. And let me point out some impalas there and see if I can give some directions to Tingana and know that he might have some food here. Very sneaky fellow here, James, with us, and trying to sneak and stay with the David coalition. I don't know for what reason. He has never done that before, but I think he's just enjoying staying with the boys. Alrighty. Sorry, I didn't get that question from Child of the Universe. Who will not do what? Sorry again? Oh, Child of the Universe, my apologies. And you'd like to know if impalas would ever call for a genet or a savocat. I would say not really, because the genets and savocats are not sizes that would be able to bring down or hunt an impala, unless I would say a savocat might go for a fawn or a lamb or a baby of an impala. That might make them most likely, make an alarm call if they see one. But in general, savocats I highly doubt. But for savocat, they've been known to go for the young ones. Very good-looking male there, with an oxpecker trying to clean it. Yes, they might do that for the savocats because they've been known to go for their young ones. But in general, not really. One nursing there, suckling. That's so cute. Ha. Huh. And the mother still, either way, she's concentrating on making sure the baby or the lamb is getting enough, but also looking, because at certain times like this, when that's happening, you'll get predators trying to sneak on them, thinking the mother could be absent-minded. She got interrupted there, I'm not sure, by the male. Hello. Did you get enough there, or you need more? Well, looking in a direction of like nothing of concern in that area, and just only her looking that way. The rest are just feeding and not worried. This could be the dominant male that has won these girls during this rutting season, and making sure he leaves his scent there. Lots of glands on the forehead, on the foreskin there. And you can see he got a little black mark like on the forehead, and that's most likely caused by all the rubbing of the sticks they do. Doesn't want to be left by the herd. He needs to catch up with them and make sure they remain in his territory. Lovely. Impala, keep enjoying your dinner, and what you need to do is to go to where the vocalization was for Tingano. You might be lucky to see him, but at least for a fact, he should know there's enough food for him here. All right. So the direction I'm facing now, that direction about 12 o'clock, maybe another 10-15 minutes from here, is where my friend is, and he's trying to follow or zero in on the sowing he had. He hasn't sowed again. I haven't had any other news on my game drive radio, so it means he's now just looking, and I won't go and help him. And I think we'll have about 10 eyes all together looking for that leopard. Well done, and that's the best question I've had for a long time. David, can you get the camera on James' face for a few seconds? Kathy, what does that face tell you? He's trying to learn a few tricks from his bigger brother David, and as I said earlier, he's enjoying the coalition of the boys, because I did not see any reason why he wanted to come with us. Today he had his off. He's always a very busy boy, and today was meant to be his off break in the afternoon. But as I was finishing my cup of hot chocolate, he says, "David, don't leave me." So yes, Kathy, I need to teach him a few skills on how to track leopards. Kathy, do you agree with me? Please let me know, #SafariLIVE, and I'll be happy to know your answer. No rush, but I'm waiting to hear. This hour, alarm calls all over. Let's find out what Raf has had.
So everyone, I've just come up towards the gate because I've heard these monkeys going crazy, alarm calling, and it looks like they're calling out towards Sydney's dam. Now, and there's also guinea fowl now starting to call over there. So I'm just looking out. Unfortunately, we can't go over there, but there's always the potential that whatever these guys are alarming at could be, have a drink and come in our direction then. So I just wanted to have a look. It would make sense if it's a leopard. So that's just why and those guinea fowl now are making a racket, as if there is something there. And I'm sure you can hear these monkeys. But one sounds like he's got a bit of a sore throat. It's like a beep, 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 beep. Funny alarm call that he's giving. We're just trying to... I might go back a little bit and see if we can see around this thicket that we're looking at. Yeah, sort of as Ferg's panning there, I think whatever it is somewhere around there. And as I say, I can't go in there, so we just need to look from a distance, and then hopefully he comes in our direction. So let's just quickly turn around here, see if we can maybe go back a bit closer to where the cheetah are, and just have a look from that angle. So those guinea fowl now are really starting to go nuts. So there's something there. The monkeys don't normally lie, and the guinea fowl now adding to it. There's surely something there. And actually, when the monkeys also started alarming like that, the cheetah, which are just a couple of 100 meters away from us, all three of them have now sat up, and they're all looking around. Louise, you going with lions? I'm going with leopard, but I would not be surprised if it was some lions as well. That would be lovely. Can't see anything through there. Might be down at the water itself. But we just keep popping in, having a look. Nothing there. There, is that the guinea fowl moving through there? Oh, no, what was that? That did look like something. Anyway, let me just go around, because that looked like tawny-coloured legs as you zoomed in there, Ferg. I think, can't remember who it was now, but you might be on the button with lions, because that looked like lion coming past. I think I saw tawny-coloured legs. Now, I can't be naughty and go over there. It's so tempting. Regs here, and it's all for a good cause and a good purpose. Now, let me just swing my nose over there like that. Okay, you're right there with that aerial. Let's have a look from here. So whatever it was moving in that direction. What could it be? No, I'm not seeing anything. Anything over there? No. Goose, yeah. Wonder if we're going to spot the goslings. Not seeing anything for now. I'm also just checking with my binos. And there's a heron, but not a lion. The monkeys have gone quiet now, so it did seem like that. Whatever. Oh no, there the monkeys are still calling now again. Come on, guinea fowl, tell us where they are. And that monkey's got a really sore throat. He's been smoking too much. Hardy-dar ibis calling there now. Not seeing anything. We'll just have to wait a little bit. I might go a little bit further up the road just to get us a different perspective that we can see a little bit further back. Let's go a little bit further. Let's go. There's something there that we're just missing, because those monkeys are not lying. Let's turn our nose here and have a look here from this point. Let's quickly check it out. Monkey's still calling. Not seeing anything, but they could have, whatever it was, disappeared into that grass. Almost just have to wait and see. Monkeys aren't as excited as they were a minute ago. So, but they're still calling. So whatever it is, they can still see. Monkeys, come on! Why can't you speak our language and tell us exactly where you're looking? To be a little bit more specific. They're still calling. I shouldn't complain. The monkeys really help us. So do the guinea fowl. Without them, we would really miss a lot of predators. Between them and the kudu and the impala and the nyala, they really do help out in letting us know where the predators are. Okay, so while we still try and work out what it is that these monkeys are alarming at, let's head you on over to Dave and see how his search is going with Tingana.
You never give up on monkey alarm calls, because they could end up leading you to some exciting news. And I don't have any alarm calls myself at the moment, and I haven't had either from my friend on the Game Drive Radio who told me about my friend Leopard Tingana, but that's the direction I am facing into. I had miscalculated the distance, and James made a joke to me, if I go at the same pace I'm doing, I might be there another 1 year from now, but we'll be looking out and also listening, because you might see or hear of another leopard on the way. Who knows, eh? I've got my lights on, and soon I'm going to take my spotlight and start looking either for chameleons, genets or scrub hare, for example. They come out like this time around. They're very nocturnal, and as it cools off, they'll always come out, and you see them on the road warming up slowly. As they get some green vegetable or green matters to eat. Civets could be busy now, savocuts. All those could be easy nightjars also. Be out on the road, getting the warmth from the substrate. It could be anybody now. Chameleon is one thing I would really want to see on the trees and look for anything green or the eyes. Okay, that's a big road here. And the other day, remember, I was driving along the same road and ended up seeing Tingana on the way, which was quite exciting. Everybody's putting now a third layer as it's cooling off. Right, let's find out what Ralph has to tell us.
Well, we have not been able to see what those monkeys were on about, so I've decided just to come back the safe option and see how the cheetah are getting along with digesting of their meal. But we'll face in the direction of where that potential predator is. Maybe, who knows, maybe it'll come this way. But these youngsters still just sitting here. Let me turn my lights off so I don't disturb them too much. And then, they're starting to let off a bit of wind. It really stinks here now. Stinkerama. Well done, guys. Huh? That's one of the first signs of them digesting their food. Now, Bobby, cheetah don't. They will stash their cubs in a type of den site, like an aardvark hole or whatever, but they really move regularly, just for the sake of not being caught. Phew, guys, yes, like stinkerama. They really let. You think maybe that's what I did. Okay. Now, Ferg says maybe I parked us on a poo. I think it's them letting off gas, but maybe Ferg's right. So, yes, cheetah will move their cubs very regularly for the sole sake of keeping ahead or trying to keep them away from any predators that maybe work out where they are. So they do den, but very briefly. They'll move from den site to den site, and not particularly going back to a den site either. They'll shift every couple of days. As they get older, they then can stay a little bit longer, but then the quicker they can move with mom, the better, actually. And so then they'll move along with mom. And it's once they pass that sort of honey badger looking phase, then they move with mom, and that's just a couple of months in. So, but a very vulnerable stage in those early months. Yeah, I think. Now, Laura, they don't pant as much as leopards when they're full, but when they after their hunt, they pant a lot, and cheetah are more adept at gorging themselves. They're better adapted to feeding and eating a lot of meat than leopards are. So they actually digest. I think they've probably got a higher metabolism than leopards do because of their habits and their physiology, the way that they're built. So I think they really, that metabolism is dealing with it, and they don't need to pant as much because of as a result of that. Now, everyone, I think we're going to switch over to infrared because it's getting to that time of the evening. So there we go. So we're over, we can see now a little bit sort of greeny color, a little bit all black and white, and that's just our night vision type that we're going into now. Black and white, says Kirsten. There we go. Ferg, I think you're right. We might have driven on a poo here. It really stinks. Jeez, like, hey? Now, who cares? Yeah, cheetah can move a lot at night. They definitely can move around a lot. As I say, cheetah are quite nomadic. They are pretty much permanently on the run, is the way that I feel it with them. I know in the Masai Mara, you know, they've got quite established areas that they move in, but in general, cheetah, for me, they're just persecuted by every predator around. And so they're almost just living undercover. Just make a kill, eat it as fast as possible, digest it as fast as possible. Well, the thing is, just get it into their stomach, and then they're able to move and groove. And at least they're fast, that they can run away from predators, because well, they can't really defend themselves against other predators. They're just such lightweights. So purely, they are like the whippets of the bush. They are not built for any kind of strength. They're not power. They are just pure speed, and that's it. She's looking quite relaxed now. And so are these two youngsters as well. They're also very chilled, just looking over their shoulder, but very relaxed. It's making me feel a little bit sleepy. Now, it seems there's all sorts of lessons going on with Rafiki Dave, and I hear he's teaching a little bit of tracking to James.
Oh yes, and yeah, we started that with my brother James in Kenya, coming all the way here until we go to South Africa, and that's not stopping, and it will continue forever and for a very long time to come. And getting very close now to where my friend was on the Game Day Radio telling me about Tingana, and we want to find out even also for ourselves whether we can also hear the sawing ourselves. I've had him so very close to the car, like this must have been 4 days ago, I think. I was on a drive and he was like 4 feet close to where I was. As I'm crossing now the Murumachi River, sometimes I'll always stop, look left and look right, and anything interesting, either direction, not much, because this sand I want to gather. It gets warm during the day by being hit by the sun, and you would imagine a cat might come there and have a nap. So we'll very quickly try to head to the one road we call the Weaver's Nest Road and find out if we can zero in on the sowing of Tingana, the leopard. Maybe for those who are joining us, you might wonder what I'm talking about, but Tingana is a male leopard that I've come to like, and it's always found a lot. I've been seeing it so many times, so I don't mind seeing it again today. I saw it in the morning today, but it was not for long before he entered in a very deep drainage, and there were some elephants, close to it, and I think the elephants might have traumatized him a week ago, and he did not want anything to do with them, and he took off. We did not find him again. Could be the time to see him before we head home to camp. See, I got my lights on now, just to make sure I don't also miss any track on the road. It could be anything. As much as I have a general idea where I'm going, I still keep looking on the ground, because it could be a different cat, or it could be Tingana having crossed the road, going to a different position from where my friend had told me about before. Roughly still with those spotted cats.
So everyone, look at this. My suspicions were correct. There was a leopard in the area. It's just been sawing off down towards the dam. Now I'm just going to try and follow up a little bit behind them. Sorry for I don't want to lose them. I think they might be going up the road. I hope they don't go off the property. But look at them now, very sheepish, just running along the road. And we'll just follow up behind them. Yeah, so it sounded like a male leopard calling at Sydney's dam. So I think it was Louise who thought it might be lions. I think you were wrong, Louise. I might have just got the luck on that one. Don't want to fall down in that hole. And so it immediately made these cheetah very nervous. And this mom's not going to hang around with there being a leopard nearby. So that's them now. And she's now actually running up the road, showing full bellies and all. She needs to get away from this leopard. Because if the leopard comes up behind and finds these two little cubs, it will very quickly kill them. So they're now heading up the road. Good show. There they are. Not really looking back at me, obviously worried about that leopard that was just rasping, sawing at Sydney's dam. So they're heading up the road now. Please turn south, turn south. Could be Tingana. It could also be that leopard that we were looking for this morning. We were thinking it might have been Gajima because he was really evasive on foot. He literally rasped within 20 meters of us, and when we went looking for him, he just vanished. So, and the guys were saying that now we've got alarm calls at the cheetah. So the cheetah being clocked by the impala to our north. See, now they're on the run, hey? Just getting away from this leopard. And yeah, so, and he just avoided us, like very uncomfortable with people on foot. So there we can hear impala calling just off to the north of us. These cheetah already way past them, still carrying on up the road. There they are, lots of alarm calling now. The impala are clocking them. Keep jogging up the road. Yeah, everybody, I agree with you. I hope they keep safe, but, well, they wouldn't have gotten this far without them and without this mom being very, very cautious. Oh, she's heading the perfect direction as well. Is that her or is that one of the cubs? One of the cubs just headed into the block. Oh, it's come back out again. Just keep our distance. We don't want to make them any more nervous than they are already. They're up ahead of us. You can see them just on the road there, just in the light. And it does seem like they would go to the south. Now, Bob, I think absolutely these cheetah could outrun a leopard, but you know, it's just got the potential of splitting them up. And maybe the cubs, you know, would run out of steam, or, you know, and the leopard also quite good at ambushing them. You know, the leopard's not only good at ambushing prey, they can also ambush other predators. So she's just, as soon as that rasp came, they all sat up, and she then said, right, we're out of here. Straight away. Very experienced mom. She knows where there's leopards, she should be making themselves scarce. Which is exactly what they've done. And they're not wasting any time about it either. So they're not walking, they're jogging up the road. And yeah, those cubs could outrun a leopard, I would say. But they could be quite easily snuck up on. Especially like where they were lying, sleeping. And that leopard could just walk in on them. And they weren't too far from where that kudu was killed as well. So good thing for them to be moving completely out of the area anyway. They'll probably start relaxing not too long once they're out of the general area. And that leopard probably walking along. If we had have stayed there, we might have been able to see him, but the chances are that he could be continuing into that block. For the moment, we'll just follow up behind these cheetah here. Now, Irene, yes, cheetah, they are definitely also opportunistic hunters. I mean, you know, they would walk up the road. If something had to jump out in front of them now, there's every chance that they could grab it. And and just kill it. But as I say, with such fat bellies, they're probably struggling now already just to run. It's probably quite uncomfortable, but they quite easily do it. But, you know, the real commitment won't be there when they got such fat bellies. It was like when we were watching Shadulu the other day. She had every chance of taking another impala, which would have been very opportunistic, but she's just not totally committed because she had a full belly already. Well, not a full, totally full, but she had eaten quite a substantial amount of that impala ram. So, yeah, it just comes down to them not being completely committed. Once they've eaten a lot, if something presents itself totally easy, they'll obviously kill it. And then they've got more food. But you see, cheetah aren't really stashers or cacheurs like leopard are. So for them, it's mostly about kill, eat, move. Kill, eat, move. Kill, eat, move. That's their kind of habit. And whereas leopard can kill, stash, go and kill another one, stash, and come back and eat at will. Ravinda, if they had to stumble across a hyena now, I think they'll probably do what they're doing, just run away. So that is their best weapon, is it, for the cheetah? Their speed. So that's why I say it's effective in terms of surviving, but it's not, for me, it's not a long-term solution. If you're just continuously running away from everything, sooner or later you're going to get caught. And that's what happens with cheetah, you know. So that's why I don't think it was the best tactic for them to go down, or the best evolutionary line. It's a shame, really, because they are such beautiful animals. And there's nothing better than watching a cheetah in full flight when it's chasing down a topi or a gazelle or like this morning a kudu. Unfortunately here, you know, it's not open like in the Masai Mara or in you know, sort of more open areas where you could watch the whole hunt unfolding. Yeah, once they go into the thickets, it's almost impossible to follow. It's a little bit like with the wild dogs. So now they are relaxing a little bit. They're not quite as anxious as they were a minute ago. They're just slowing up now, but still moving along. And see, Mommy's still checking back every now and then, just making sure and get a little bit of a jog on again, just to get that ground, eh? Get that ground covered and get moved away from that leopard. And the kid's keeping up with Mom, so that's good. Right, so we're going to keep following these cheetah and see where they end up. Hopefully they head south. But in the meantime, let's head you off to Rafiki Dave and see how he's doing.
I am doing better than Raf because I'm getting very close to where maybe the leopard Tingana might be. Not 100% sure, but there have been some fresh tracks that have been spotted, I would say 5 minutes ago. Fresh tracks that James like calling steaming. So it means he is around somewhere, and that's where I want to not race to, but rush to and see if he could be there. So let me head in that direction. I'll just make sure I don't run over any nightjars or any scrub hairs. But again, no guarantee. But chances are, from what I've gathered, he could be around there, live there, breed there, not anymore. I've been there before and I did not see any signage of life or any hyenas who are there the last 1 or 2 years. So let me get there and see if Tingana might give me a one good night. Raf may want to say adios to the cheetahs now.
Okay, so everybody, that is now the cheetahs heading north into Biffle's Hook, and unfortunately that might be the last that we see of them, but good for them. They've gotten themselves a lovely feed. They've gotten themselves out of the vicinity of a leopard, and there's another leopard calling. They are very nervous now. There's another leopard just called. It's a different leopard because it wouldn't have come this far. They're heading in that sort of general direction, but I can't go up that road. That's part of the rules here. That's another property, and there was another leopard that called, so that would have made them extra anxious, extra cautious. There's every opportunity that they could sort of circle back around and come onto our property again. For the time being, however, I can't follow them. And wow, there's another leopard that just called there. So shame. That's going to keep them on their toes. Anyway, what left to do for us? We'll just have to carry on and see if we can find ourselves a leopard. Laura Moore, I'm going to just randomly head on down one of these next roads. I'll see which one it is. We'll see. Maybe it will be Gallagher Shortcut. Maybe we'll catch up with one of those leopards there. We'll have a last-minute leopard. Who knows? All right. So, speaking of randomness, let's head you back to Dave and see if he can find a random leopard.
I learned a new, or Raf reminded me of a new vocabulary I've always known called randomness. And I think randomness in life is very interesting. And that reminds me of the royal wedding we had the other day. Was that a random wedding or was it not? So I really need to know what randomness means, because David is just laughing. And where and when can we apply the word random or randomness? So anyway, enough of that randomness. So I'm trying to do a randomness check, last randomness of the Tingana leopard. If he is anywhere here, this is the what used to be the hyena's den. As my friend might have given you directions. So let's see whether anything could happen here, or it could be a randomness of emptiness. It could be anything. I really have to be careful how I use that word randomness. And if I see him, I'm going to swallow my word when I said randomness of Tingana the leopard. Monkey, you'd like, or why you asking why is James not holding the spotlight? And he did exactly that. I don't know why it has taken him so long to do that. And he's my younger brother who I have to give him a lesson. And what I'll do, I'll make sure if we're sitting and I'll tell him to look on the other way. But thank you for that. It's very nice. And now he's behaving like a good young brother. And he's just holding it. And the only thing he needs to do, he better make sure he spots Tingana. I'll just use my radio, my Game Drive radio for 1 second. Station looking for Ingwe, any success, any luck? Never watch out there. Keep going. Keep holding on. We're trying to get a branch here. Negative copy. Say that again right now. I'm at the hyena's den. I'm at the old hyena's den right now. Copy that. That's the other end. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. Well, doesn't seem to be showing up, and we got finally, and James has done some magic here. Can you see that chameleon there? Yes. And just remind me, the guest, remind me the viewer who was wondering why the James could not hold the spotlight, and he has spotted something. I don't know. You can remind me, please, the viewer's name, please. And I'm sure, the viewer can see James has done a good job finally. And we got the flap-necked chameleon. And I think, James, you deserve to have some dinner tonight. And you see the reason of you holding it. It has borne fruits. Well done. This is exciting. I'll keep watching this chameleon and quietly hoping I'll hear Tingana calling, doing a bit of sewing, and that will give me some very good leads tomorrow morning. I will know where to start when I come out for my game drive. Fantastic, James, very well done. And possibly every game drive I do in the afternoon, make sure you come with me. And your main job, yes, I'm happy, total excitement of seeing a chameleon. And I'll be giving James that new job to be holding the spotlight at night.
Thank you.
He says thank you, and he's giving me a funny face. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure the face and the thank you work together, or they're on the same page and the same speed. Isn't that fantastic to see a chameleon? And I haven't seen a chameleon for quite some time. And how wonderful. We have to thank that gentleman called James for having spotted a chameleon. And he's going to be a very proud gentleman as we go for dinner tonight. And what a great day. Cheetahs, James sneaking with a coalition of the David boys. I don't know what he learned today. I'll find out when we get back to the camp. But he has spotted a chameleon for us. Well done, James.
Thank you.
And we thank all of you. Let's see you again tomorrow morning. Have a good one. Thank you and goodbye for now.